the pot of
for
thunder.
the wedding apps.
Is your daughter's wedding? Or whose wedding?
No, that's just what they're called on the
Oh,
YouTube.
getting...
And let me tell you this: it's not how you look in your wedding dress; it's how you feel in your wedding dress.
Good advice.
It's very positive.
For all the upcoming
10
brides listening to this show.
Or dudes who
Wanna
want to
wear-
do this video, and because you did it because your daughter's doing the getting ready for the wedding. She's not getting married. It's just
The proverbial wedding.
yes. And I was in the gym going, "Ugh, I can do that. I've kickboxed and my abs are
Right.
kicking." And she's like, "All right, Dad, why don't you do this with me?" 10-minute abs with the girl, Cassie Ho is her name.
Cassie Ho.
H-O.
Okay.
So before you think anything else, Chris Jericho. It's just a name.
I'm not... Get your mind out of the gutter. I'm assuming that she's maybe Asian.
She is.
Okay.
That would be H-O, I believe that would be single syllable. That would be a Chinese name.
That's a real...
Well, because multi-syllables, that's Japanese, right? And then the hyphenated, that's Vietnamese.
Oh, see, I didn't know that.
Right. Or like Win, N-G-U, W is N-G and
Right, with the weird
Vietnamese.
pronunciation, yeah. Okay, so
I think
she's...
H-O, it would be Chinese.
Okay, so she's Chinese, maybe, doing a 10-minute workout. Ab workout.
Abs.
Right.
So I thought I'll get in, do this ab workout. It's just this girl, like, getting ready for the wedding. I'm so sore. I can barely move. Like getting out of bed this morning was a whole thing.
Well, what kind of abs are you doing? Like, what does she have you doing? Sit-ups?
Yeah, you sit ups and things and reaching your toes and doing this other stuff, and then just quickly to the other thing, and then you're doing side things, oblique things
Yeah.
up. You're up on your heels, and she's talking through this whole thing,
Mm-hmm.
telling stories about her getting ready for her wedding. And I'm like, how are you even talking, bitch? Yeah, but so yeah, I've learned my lesson.
But you we talk about this every time. You're always very fit and cognizant of your workouts.
Yeah.
It's part of your daily routine now.
I like doing new things to shock it up.
Yes.
And I know Chris
Yeah.
Jericho showed up at my house. He's kind of swole right now.
And it's like, by the way, it's like before 9 a.m. We're the two worst rock stars ever. You text me at like 6:40 and said, by the way, if you're up, I'm hanging out. I'm like, okay, I'm up.
Well, this is part of our work, isn't it?
That's true.
We get up early. If I got to fly to London today. So to combat 72 hours of straight work I got to do when I get there. You get up early. You try to get on London time. So the last couple of days, I got up earlier and earlier. Flight is later today. I had to switch some flights around. So hopefully by like 6 p.m. Pacific Coast time on the plane, I'll be able to go to sleep. And I'll wake up and
So
I'll
you
be...
try and prepare for that when you go over to another country.
Yeah, I'll pre-prepare.
Because it's hard to deal with jet lag. Like, I just take it as it comes.
Yeah.
I never put any preparation into anything. Maybe I should try that.
I do. I got a whole system.
So you try and wake up earlier so that you're acclimated to go to bed earlier, which will help you.
Today I woke up at 4 a.m. That's like noon.
Right. It's like, 8 hours ahead
Yeah.
from LA.
Yeah. I
Right.
mean, if you really but you got to do that like 3-4 days before, if you can.
That works okay for you?
It does, at least psychologically. I know I prepared. Just like anything else, if you're getting in the ring, if you know you prepared, you get in the ring, you're more confident. If I know I prepared to go to London to do this thing, I'm more confident in that I won't be jet lagged, and nothing a Red Bull or 5 won't take care of.
Right. But on the other side of the coin, you can't take like a Tylenol PM or anything. Because you don't take anything anymore.
No, but I'll take melatonin.
Oh,
on the
okay.
flight. Yeah. My new thing, like Susan, my wife, she Dramamine. She used to give it to the kids, right? Long flights. Like I thought it was-
seasickness pills, basically, yeah.
Right?
Right.
She gave me one on a flight back from New York. Just take one if you need sleep. I'm like, this won't put me to sleep. It's Dramamine. It's for... I was out. So that's maybe a new thing.
Right.
Non-addicting.
You could do that. Natural, I think. Natural, whatever.
Ish.
Natural-ish.
Yeah.
And you mentioned you're going to London to do press for your solo album.
Yeah.
Tenderness is the name.
Right.
And we've been talking about this for a few months because you've been very gracious to call in a joke of the week for about the last 2 years.
Yes.
And I started hearing about the solo record and about how you had written this record based on your experiences on the Guns N' Roses tour. Correct?
In a way, yeah. And I'll get you the liner notes at some points that I wrote. I basically wrote. I was going to write a book.
Mm-hmm.
This album was going to be a book. The original idea was not so much the inner workings of the Guns N' Roses camp at all. We're keeping. I mean, I love that we've done no press.
None.
And
I
we've
think
kept,
the only interview you did was the last time you were on Talk is Jericho.
You are the only interview that was done
Right.
during that tour, and it's because it's you.
Yeah.
You know, we're bros.
That. Did you have to ask permission for that, or
No.
tell some? Or you guys are pretty much understanding that we're not doing press, but you don't actually have to.
Yeah, we're grown dudes.
Gotcha.
Yeah, we kind of made this pact, but then it's you, and we're up in Calgary or Winnipeg.
It's Winnipeg. Yeah, we talk more about Appetite rather than the reunion or anything like
Right.
that.
Right. And anyhow, and I love that old mystique about a rock and roll band, and I think that's really missing in this day and age where everything. Oh, sorry guys. That's a BlackBerry ringtone, by the way. Anybody just curious?
It's very loud. It's very powerful.
I usually don't have my ringer on.
Okay, so you just.
But I was waiting for.
Decided to turn it on for the interview.
Yeah, for the interview. Exactly. But anyhow, out
the
there.
mystique in rock and roll is what we were talking about, which I think is so cool because you're right. Everybody's so open with their social media, etc.
Right. And this band, you know, we were formed before the internet, before really, I think even cell phones. You know, in that sense of, and I've really turned off the internet. I've turned off the cable news. You know, I was getting so wrapped up into, let's see, January 2015. Like probably everybody else that's listening, it's like crack cocaine, man. Like the cable news, and it was the debates were going on, and I was watching like John Kasich because a friend of mine was his campaign manager. He said, "Watch this guy. He's Republican in America running," and I was watching all these different things, and I vote for every. I'm a nerd. You know, I've been voting since I was 18. Little local things in Seattle, everything. Me and my buddies have been growing up together. We get on the phone and talk to each other
City
about
council or whatever it may be,
referendums and
Yeah.
whatnot. But January 2015, I really noticed myself, and my wife noticed me, watching all the different, like going from cable channel to cable channel. It's quote unquote news. And I'm smart enough about this, man. I read so much history, and I am aware. Like they're changing their formats. They're getting these panels on the news, and they're screaming over each other. But it is like crack, man. You're like, oh, and you start following people on Twitter that you see on there, and I got caught up into it, and I knew this formula was just they were hiking the rates of their ads and doing all this stuff, and I was falling for it all. Getting agitated, getting on Twitter, following, you know, wake up in the morning, you know, turn on the news, look at my Twitter. Then we started rehearsing for the tour. And I was still doing this. Now it's I meant December 2015 is when I started this. January 2016 we start rehearsing. I'm still doing this, watching the news, working out, watching the news. The worst thing ever, man. Going to rehearsal, we rehearsed like 7 hours. After we got done, we talk about politics. This went on for 3 months of rehearsal. We went out on the tour, and my wife said, you know, just turn off the TV. You know, mute people that you followed on the Twitter. Just go back to your Seahawks stuff that you follow and the Mariners stuff that you follow. And I did that. I made this really conscious effort at stepping away. And so what my point to all of this is, once I did that, in about a week, the quality of my life became so much better. And because I read so much history, I love on the road going out and seeing the things I read about.
Oh, okay.
So I went to Monticello, right? We're playing DC, and then the next gig is Atlanta, and I got Tadao with me. You know Tadao.
Yeah.
And
Security guy.
Yeah, security guy. But he's always become a history buff along with me because I'm so interested in all this stuff. Let's go to where Thomas Jefferson, lived. Great. That's off the beaten track. We're not playing anywhere in Virginia. Let's go here and nobody will know, won't notice me coming in there. It's not like I'm going to the museum right next to the gig we're playing at. And when you go to places like this and do the tours, you talk to people and you blah blah blah. And in New Orleans, I went and did went with the alligator guy on the airboat.
Okay.
And who knew? You don't talk about politics to anybody. I noticed, like alligators eat marshmallows. Who knew? And we talk about. He was telling me he's done this for 40 years, that the marshes are drying up, where he's been for all this time. And interesting things. And I went to the World War I Museum in Kansas City on a trip between Denver and Little Rock. Not very good routing, by the way. I went to Little Bighorn in Montana. We didn't play Montana, but we played Minneapolis and then Denver. So the drive in between, let's go there. And in these places I visited,
When you're doing that on a Guns N' Roses tour, are you just give your own bus that you
Yes.
take there? Okay, gotcha. So you just tell the driver, we're taking a little detour today. Here we go.
yeah, and I get everybody into it. And Susan gets me one of those goofy little state park passports you can get stamps in. But this divide that I've been seeing on the news and like thinking it must be there, right? Because that's all they're talking about. This divide. I just didn't see it, Chris. I just didn't see it, man.
Political divide.
The political divide, yeah, this real big divide, yeah, between the red and the blue, and no state was red or no state was blue, too. I noticed it was just people.
Yeah.
And so this divide, I just realized it was a news selling point. It would keep you on the TV and keep you there long enough so you'd watch the ads on the cable news and wait for them to come back and talk more about the divide. And then we traveled outside of America, of course, and I do all my nerdy historical things, traveling, and I go to weird gyms, and I'll go to boxing gyms in Newcastle or some, whatever, Manchester, some rusty boxing gym, and just get out and talk to people, and maybe I talk too much to people, I'm one of those guys, like, tell me more about this. And all of this kind of realization that the world, we have so much more in common, way more in common with each other than what separates us. And I know you know this from all your travels, right? All the people you meet, you're like me, you do nerdy crap and
You have to. I never wanted to be one of those guys that just slept the whole day away and don't see anything. And I've seen enough castles in Scotland, but there's other things to go. I try and do something every day.
Yes.
Whether it's walking to the market or I walked around in a mall in Oslo when I was there because there's nothing else around. But at least I saw a mall in Oslo and weird
right.
little shops.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? At least you have a memory of it rather than just gig, bus, airport, venue, whatever. Right?
Sometimes that's all it is.
Yeah.
It is. It's a mall.
Yeah. Right.
That's correct. But you're out doing stuff. So I started writing little beginnings of chapters of a book of I read some really great books while I was out on the road. J.D. Vance's Hillbilly Elegy. If anybody's read that, they'll know what I'm talking about. Sarah Candahore's View from the Flyover Country. I also read The Rise and Fall of the Third Reich. Not apropos to anything. It was just a book that was on my list to read. And those books kind of fed me some information about certain subjects. And I thought, well, maybe I'll write it. I've written 2 books. I wrote columns for 5 years, and maybe I'm a trusted voice enough to just write about my experience of the world right now in an inarguably interesting time in our history. And kind of try to highlight the fact that, yeah, while there are problems, there is stuff going on, there is cable news, there is people trying to, turn you one way or another, that we're all way more alike and have so much more in common. And I think most of us think talking about politics face to face is a rather base thing. We don't do it. right? It's rather tacky,
Sure.
right?
Politics and religion, right?
Yeah. My mom, you know, like we learn you don't talk about money, politics, or religion. You know, it's kind of tacky.
Yeah.
So I found that people are like that, and I started writing these sort of chapters. And one day, the rare occasion I was in my hotel room, I travel with an acoustic guitar always, and I was playing an E major chord, and I was reading this part, and it's everybody's lying. I need some truth. Everybody's trying to push you to the views. And this was the beginning of a chapter, but it rhymed by chance and became this first song on my record called It's Not Too Late.
Okay, so before we get into the making of Duff's new solo album, Tenderness, let me say thank you to Arm & Hammer's new Cloud Control cat litter. Not only are they a fine sponsor of Talk is Jericho, but they're making life a little better at the Irvin house for us and our cats. You guys know by now we have 3 cats, Mr. Mittens, Indy, and Snickers, and that means we've got a few litter boxes at our house as well. I think there's 4 of them. And we all have to clean the litter boxes most of the time. The kids have to do it because it's on their chore charts, and damn it, they got to do something to pay the rent around here. But there's times when both my wife and I have to take a turn as well. And thanks to Arm & Hammer's new Cloud Control litter, none of us are complaining about cleaning the litter boxes, and that's because there is no cloud of nasties when we scoop. Arm & Hammer's Cloud Control litter is 100% dust-free, free of heavy perfumes, and it also helps reduce airborne dander from scooping, and that's why it's so dang awesome. It's so awesome. So what happens in the litter box stays in the litter box. New Cloud Control cat litter by Arm & Hammer. More power to you. Duff McKagan's new solo album is called Tenderness, and that's also one of the songs on the record.
Tenderness, the song, really sums up the intent of the record. The last song on the record is called Don't Look Behind You, and that sums up the whole record. It ends on a kind of a positive note, meaning don't dwell on the things of the past. We're going to move together forward in a positive way, like we've always done. And because I do read so much history, ever since I've got sober, so for the last 25 years, I think my wife says, I always blame everything on my wife, don't I? But nearly 1,000 history books in the last 25 years.
That's what you've read?
That's what I do.
Wow.
It's kind of what I do.
It's your new addiction.
Well, it kind of is, because I'll read about the Battle of Gettysburg, let's say. So you read one book about it, but you need to get another angle of it, right? So then I'll read a Southern book about Gettysburg, and then I'll read a Union book about it. Then I'll read Lee's, and then Grant's take, and then Chamberlain, and all these different generals. And there's all these books, and in there somewhere is the real story. And you can't rely on just one source for your news or your information. I read the great book Band of Brothers about D-Day. Then that's the Easy Company, 101st Airborne, and made into a series. But I also read a story, a book of a journalist who was a German, who was embedded with these kids who were at Normandy in those pillboxes. They were greenhorns, these kids, and this guy just suddenly was embedded with them, a journalist, and suddenly this armada shows up, and it was their backwards journey all the way to Berlin, just terrifying. So I guess my point to that is it really opens up my scope of history, and I really try to apply that. You know, things do repeat themselves. Too bad that they repeat themselves too often. And we don't learn from our history, but I think reading history is really valuable. You know, if you want to further your intellect about stuff, it really takes away stuff that's going on currently. Like if you agree or disagree with a current administration or not. It doesn't really matter. It's just politicians. It will change. We'll be pissed off about something else in 2 years, completely different, I guarantee you.
So from reading all that, does that help you lyrically, help you with the record?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it did. I mean, it helps me. History helps me write. Reading good writers helps me write. period. And I think I had a great perspective of traveling the world during this 2.5 years, playing these gigs that, when you come to our shows, nobody asks who you vote for, nobody cares.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
It's not a political show.
It's not.
Right.
Well, in rock and roll, even though most rock and roll, there's political messages in there ever since.
There is, but I don't want that, at an AC/DC show or a Guns N' Roses show or an Iron Maiden show or a Metallica show. I mean, if you go to U2 or Springsteen, you go to the Stones, there's no politics.
Right.
It's just rock and roll.
I guess what I mean, not politics in your face, like preaching this is the way it is and this is the way we think, but rock and roll from its inception and by definition is rebellion.
Sure.
So there's messages in there like, it's us against
Yeah.
the man,
Right, right,
and
right.
that's good rock and roll.
Yes.
I think.
I agree.
And the man isn't necessarily the politician, but the man is kind of, I remember back to punk rock days, late 79, 80. The man we knew then was like the lobbyists and the people who were 10 steps ahead of us. And so we're down here arguing about some local political move when it's so out of our control. So, we were young, like 16 years old, the man, the man. But we did know then it wasn't really the politicians, it wasn't the mayor or the governor or the president. It was like the big hands above all of that, moving everything.
Mm-hmm.
So that's rock and roll. We're all in that together, We know like there's sort of, we're all in this thing together, and it's the man, and that's rock and roll, right?
Mm-hmm. Sure it
so,
is. Yeah.
So that's politics to me, I guess.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, it's got that rebelliousness, I think, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
I was talking about U2, where they'll do a song about Desmond Tutu or something, Bishop Tutu or something along those lines. That's a little bit more of the political side of rock and roll.
I got to have tea with that Bishop Desmond.
You did?
In yes, Cape Town.
Really?
The night he is a deity. He has got something extra to him, man. We got in that room
Is it recently?
a few years ago.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
You got in that room and what?
And there's something special extra to that guy.
Mhm.
And what a amazing man. I don't know what U2 did, but that's just an aside.
I just use that as an example. I
Yeah.
don't think they have a song about Desmond Tutu. Maybe they should. Bono, if you're listening.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
lyrics. Another thing about the new soul album Tenderness is the involvement from Shooter Jennings, and we'll talk all about how Shooter and his band got involved. But first, I want to tell all of you rock and roll fans about another show you should be checking out, and that's Good Company, hosted by Scott Bowling. Now, if that name sounds familiar, it's because you know him. He's the guy who won the chance to interview me for Talk is Jericho. He did a great interview all about Fozzy and all about my music career. It aired on Talk is Jericho about a year or so ago. Well, here's the good news. Scott's own interview show, Good Company, airs on YouTube, and he's had some big-time guests on. How about Brian Welch from Korn, Ed, Clint Lowry from Seven Dust, Jose Mangan from SiriusXM, Eddie Trunk, and of course, Rich Ward from Fozzy's been interviewed by Scott. And the interviews that Scott does are very in-depth and allow all the guests to go deep into their music creative process, touring, what inspires them, their favorite albums, their current stuff. It's a modern day behind the music. Remember that on VH1 for all you old schoolers here? I know how much you guys dig music, and that's why I think you should check out Good Company with Bowling. Just go to YouTube or Facebook or Instagram and search Good Company. The show's gonna come up. Give it a listen. It's a great show. You'll learn something about the guests, and you'll be entertained as well. Good Company with Bowling, hosted by Scott Bowling. Go to YouTube and put Good Company in the search bar, or just go to the website, scottgoodcompany.com. I just watched the show with Matt Pinfield, a legendary MTV VJ. They did something a little different. They talked about their 3 favorite punk albums. Matt picked the Ramones' first album, and he explains why it's such an important album in his life. It's a great story. I'm not going to give it away. Go listen to what Matt Pinfield has to say in Good Company with Bowling. And don't forget to check out Rich Ward on Good Company with Bowling. I think it's one of his highest rated shows. And Rich and Jose Mangan did their favorite albums of the 90s. So much good stuff. Go to YouTube and put Good Company in the search bar, or watch the episode at Scott's website, scottgoodcompany.com. That's scottgoodcompany.com. After you finish the Talk is Jericho and hear about Duff McKagan here, go check out Scott and Good Company. Some great rock and roll interviews from a great guy, and I think you'll really, really dig it. I know I did. Go check it out now. A lot of involvement with Shooter Jennings.
Yeah.
I saw your European tour poster, and you're actually touring with him.
Right.
Is he in your band? Is he doing his own thing and you're doing your own thing?
Shooter and his band is my band.
Okay.
And I started putting these songs together, right? And all on acoustic guitar. And that's been the idea of this becoming a record, a very soft sort of record.
It is, yeah.
And a record, I wanted to do a musical record like this for 20 years. And I thought the message would be clearer if the music was quieter and more restrained. And kind of like if you go to see somebody talk at a book talk or something, and the mic isn't quite loud enough, and everybody's straining to hear what he says,
Yes.
he or she, and you really listen.
You
And
have to,
right? And so that was my intention with this record. And Shooter Jennings is a guy I met in 2001 when he moved here moved to Los Angeles from Nashville. And he was in this band called Stargun. And you know that thing, Jericho, you've been out there long enough. Out of every 10 musicians who are just kind of starting, there's one of those 10 that you know is a true believer is gonna be a lifer. The other 9, you're not too sure of.
Right.
And Shooter, I recognized, he was 21. They opened for Loaded for 3 shows, Stargun. And the rest of his band, while being great, I recognize Shooter as one of
This
those.
is obviously Waylon Jennings' son, right?
I didn't know that.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, I didn't know he was Waylon's kid.
Yeah.
You know, he was just this guy Shooter from Nashville. And we've remained friends since then. He's had this wonderful career. And now he's producing records as well. He's writing a record with Manson right now. Like, he's kind of all over the place. He won a Grammy for Brandi Carlile's record.
Wow.
Just this year.
Yeah, yeah.
And he is a wonderful musical mind, and getting together with him on these songs. That first day we got in a room together, you're not sure if that's going to work because you've never done music with the guy before. And it worked. That first day, us doing it, it was just a perfect match. And we both recognized that, and we just went in. He suggested we use his band, at least try it. He thought they could really do the material justice, understand it, play with restraint, and they really did. And it was an amazing musical experience for me. And it's kind of the in-between time. We had come off tour. I was kind of recording the songs in between a couple of our legs.
Oh, okay.
So now I'm trying to hook up some. I've already done it. I've hooked up songs. There's a song called Cold Outside about homelessness. I went to the Union Gospel Mission in Seattle. They took me on a search and rescue thing to this place called The Jungle. It's probably the gnarliest homeless camp in America.
In Seattle.
It's in Seattle.
Wow.
Yeah, Seattle's homelessness thing is very visible, very, very kind of large. So we're hooking up a thing through Union Gospel Mission for fans to get involved. I went up and met homeless people. Nobody asked me for it. It wasn't about asking for a dime or, it was just about there was a human connection there. I can't have with people. They didn't know who I was. I was just a guy that these guys from Union Gospel Mission who used to live in the jungle and they were strung out and whatnot, got sober and now are kind of returning.
So what is your tie-in with the record? You're donating a song to that, or
I'm trying to get fans involved.
Right.
So you can rack up points by doing things with Union Gospel Mission.
Really?
Going up and going on search and rescue missions, giving out socks, and hopefully just taking that fear, that stigma away between a guy like me who walks a little faster, got my keys in hand, don't want to make eye contact. From taking people from that, like me, to I got a far greater understanding by going into the camp and talking to people. One guy was in an industrial band, and he worked at the Phoenix Underground Club in Seattle for 7 years. He knew a guy I know, guy in the Walking Papers. But he's been homeless for 10 years now. He said, when you're this long, the 10 years really hit me. And when you're homeless for that long, it's really, really hard to get back into.
I can see that.
I don't know how to. And So I'm trying to just bring some connectivity.
So what do you mean you can get points?
You get points if you do the more stuff you do, and then if you get enough points, it's kind of goofy, but I don't care.
It's not
like
goofy,
you,
though.
You can win a bass, one of my basses.
So
you can get flown out to one of my shows.
So you have this like on your website, or is it in
Yes.
the album or whatever, that if you go do this homeless excursion and do this, this, and this, and you can prove it, then you get 100 points. And with 100 points,
Yeah.
you get a Duff McKagan bass. That's really
That's
cool.
correct.
I've never heard that before from an artist.
Right, and it's through this organization called Propeller. They propel different nonprofits. So we're doing suicide prevention because I have a song called "Feel" that I wrote about Scott Weiland, Chris Cornell, Chester, and Prince. And it's drug addiction and depression and suicide prevention. So there's another organization. If you go to my website, you'll see it all.
That's really cool.
Yeah, so trying to do something good with this record in this time of this seeming divide and whatnot, the thing that's gonna heal us is the thing that always does, is us helping each other. And one person at a time. We don't have to solve it all right now. I don't have the solutions. You probably don't have the solution to solve homelessness all over America and Canada, and mental illness and suicide prevention and drug addiction. But I think one person at a time, and I'm going to make my little effort here with this record. And that's the intent of the record. And we're going to go out and tour the songs. The band is really great. And I think people will really enjoy these songs and with this band. And so it's all good.
It's really interesting to me because even when we first met, when you were touring with Loaded, then you go do this massive stadium tour with Guns N' Roses, and now you're going back to doing clubs with Shooter. You just like to play.
Mm-hmm.
Does it matter to you if it's a stadium, if it's a club? Pros and cons to both?
I like to create music. I can't help myself. You see the acoustic guitar sitting all around the house, right? Except in this room, no. Which is odd.
This is the TV room.
Yeah, but usually there's a bass sitting in here.
Yeah.
So I really like, man, since I was, a young kid, like writing my first song at 13, not knowing how to write a song, but...
Do you remember what it was called?
The first song I wrote was called The Fake. It's on a single, The Veins, and I sung it. It was before my voice even changed. But it was about this girl in, it was like middle school, like junior high school. She's a fake, man.
First song I ever
Stop
wrote.
being so fake.
First song I wrote was Stick It.
Stick it.
Yeah, just stick it.
Yeah. Stick it.
Little dun 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 dun. The riffs that you write when you're 13.
Sure.
Like, that's awesome, man.
This is the best song
Ever.
Yeah.
Ever. Yeah.
But I can't not write songs. I mean, I write a song probably every day,
Mhm.
and I have my garage band just full of stuff, and I try to title it. Then I look at my garage band, it has so much stuff, and even my cell phone has a bunch of just like riffs, and then I'll get back from a tour and I'll try to put those all, maybe make demos of them downstairs here at the house or whatever, to try to kind of get them more official. But they always go someplace, and this was playing all these wonderful shows. We played 159 gigs. And we were writing, riffs and stuff at Soundcheck and whatnot, but like writing this record with intent of putting these words I'd written to a melody and songs was just another outlet. I think for me, it's super healthy. I don't drink, I don't do drugs. I go to the gym and I write songs and I read history, and then when I get out and play shows, I let it all hang out, and it's never phoned in, and that's my life. My wife and my daughters are my life first and foremost, and then the rest of it is just super aggressive.
Speaking of aggressive rock and roll, here's the magic question, of course, Duff. Let's talk about the Guns N' Roses reunion tour, which keeps getting dates added to it, and what it takes to perform those 3.5-hour long shows that Guns does. I know you're in great shape, but still, it's a marathon. But first, let me tell you guys what you can do to get on the road to healthier living, like Duff is doing, like I'm doing. Download the DDPY Now app and get started on Diamond Dallas Page's awesome DDPY program. Everyone knows my DDPY story, how I was going to have back surgery, or maybe never even wrestle again, until Dallas called me and told me to try his yoga program. I was reticent to try it at first, but not only did I no longer have to have back surgery once I started doing it, I've since gone on to have some of the best matches of my career, including beating Kenny Omega at AEW's inaugural event, Double or Nothing in Las Vegas last weekend. 48 years old, still out there burning it up, and directly thanks to DDP. And let me tell you, it's looking like Jon Moxley is going to get the same treatment from me one of these days after he attacked me after the match with Kenny. Don't forget that Jon Moxley on Talk is Jericho, the emancipation of Jon Moxley, is the highest rated episode of Talk is Jericho in history. If you haven't listened to it, go back and check that out. And if you haven't tried DDP Yoga, what are you waiting for? Okay, I did DDPY before Double or Nothing. I did it after Double or Nothing. I've been doing it all week because my back was pretty tight afterwards. It really makes a difference. It makes me feel better. You should be doing it too if you have some stiff back issues. And Dallas is so sure you're going to be hooked on DDPY once you try it that he's given you 7 days of free access to the DDPY Now app. Now check this out. You get to try everything for free for 7 days. Over 100 workouts on the app, nutrition tips, recipes, ways to track your progress, including the ability to connect a Bluetooth heart rate monitor to keep an eye on how your blood's pumping. And don't forget, there's live workouts from the DDPY Center in Smyrna, Georgia, and there's even a little personal motivation from Dallas himself. All you got to do is download the DDPY Now app. There's one for iOS and for Android, and then get started. DDPY is the program you've been looking for. It's going to get you on the path to healthier living and keep you there. So take advantage of the 7-day free trial of the DDPY Now app and give Dallas's life-changing program a solid 1-week try. Own your life for free. Get started at ddpyoga.com/Jericho and pick up Dallas's book as well to help get you started. It's called Positively Unstoppable, The Art of Owning It, and it's filled with lessons from Dallas's own life and career. You will learn a lot. You'll be motivated. You can get it now wherever books are sold. Let Dallas and DDPY change your life. Check out the Positively Unstoppable book. Check out DDPY and check it out at ddpyoga.com/Jericho. Get in the best physical and mental shape of your life. I'm living proof this works. I just killed it with Kenny Omega, main event of AEW's Double or Nothing. Thanks to DDP and DDPY. Go check it out now, ddpyoga.com/Jericho. Let's talk about some of the shows with Guns N' Roses. You mentioned 159 gigs, and I saw 2 of them or 3 of them, and long shows. I mean, you guys are playing for 3 hours. It's like 25 songs, 26 songs. You got songs like November Rain and Paradise City, and Rock over 6 minutes, 8 minutes, 9 minutes.
Coma, I think is
Coma's about 10, I think, or 13.
Yeah.
Is getting into gig shape to play a 3-hour show, did you guys know it was going to be a 3-hour show, or was it one of those things where it kept getting longer and longer? Because you're playing Glenn Campbell covers, like you guys are obviously having a great time.
Adding,
just whatever should we play tonight, you know?
Yeah. Gig shape, physically.
Yeah. When you guys started this tour, did you say these are going to be 3-hour shows, or was it just, did it morph into that because you were having fun with it, or?
Yeah, I mean, nothing was ever said. It's just, I mean, number one, our catalog. We played one show at the Forum to end up one leg. We played 4 hours, and nobody left. You know, like,
right.
We just like if people start leaving, it would probably be like, okay, well, let's
Yeah, let's wrap it up.
But we were having so much fun, and it didn't seem like 4 hours to us. And I've heard from people in the audience, it didn't seem like 4 hours. But we have enough material, like I guess, to do that kind of a thing. Especially, Glenn Campbell passed, and we were in Wake Forest, I think, playing the football stadium there, and Axel came in. He's like, "Man, I'm really sad by Glenn Campbell's loss, like his demise." And he'd watched that documentary.
Oh yeah, I'll Be Me.
Yeah. And so we said, like lineman for the county, let's try doing this song. Could we do this, you guys? And listening to that song, that band, I think that was the LA Wrecking Crew who recorded that band. Oh, man,
yeah,
there's a lot going on,
right? And you don't notice it until you listen to it.
Wow.
Yeah.
And we really, that was a challenge. And doing that song it's a tough little song to do. So hopefully, we'll add more stuff like that, and we'll probably add and subtract, as we go along. But
Because you guys are still going. You have more shows announced, or at least there's a few in the States even now, headlining
Yeah.
festivals here.
yeah,
It's like you just keep adding shows.
yeah, it's very, man. I can't really explain. It's just it's very positive. Everything about the inner workings of that thing, and the best thing that come out of this whole thing was just the three of us talking again. I think we probably talked about that before, and from communication and real kind of appreciation for each other and a work ethic of each other. Watching Axl warm up for an hour and a half before a show, then playing 3.5 hours, and then warming down for an hour and a half. I'm already eating my dinner,
Yeah.
and I'm in bed with a book.
He warms down for an hour and a half.
Hour and a half, yeah.
That's unbelievable. I've always heard that he did a big warm down.
Warm downs, yeah.
Really?
Yeah, but he doesn't miss one because you vocal cords. You're a singer. There's these two little things.
And Axl's range is so high and gritty. I mean, that's as guys get older, sometimes the quality goes down, but it never did with him in AC/DC either.
Yeah, I think he's just better than he's ever been. He's become a master, and I think he was born with natural talent. He developed it a lot more than I think I ever knew when we were kids. He worked on it hard, but now to keep this thing up, he has to do this. He has to be really go to the gym, gig day, get to his room, get in the shower, start his warm-ups, and come to the show. It's time to go, play, and then the warm-downs. And watching Slash, he just plays guitar all day long, and then plays guitar all through the gig.
All night long, yeah.
And watching that work ethic. I have a good work ethic too, but that keeps me on my toes. Like watching those two guys, you have to keep up. And I've just gained a whole new appreciation for those guys and everybody in that band, for sure. Everybody, it's a hard-working band. When we go to rehearse, we rehearse 6 days a week to get ready for this thing. We did it for 3 months, and that's 7 and 8 hours a day.
Yeah.
It's real. You almost have to get in rehearsal shape, because gigs you get to run around.
Yeah.
You at least get some blood flowing, right?
Right.
Rehearsals are standing there.
Was that something I was thinking about this before, like when you guys first started with that band? Because it was a 5-piece, now it's 7 or 8. It's almost like the Stones now, where it's Duff, Axl, Slash, and then you've got 5 or 6 other players.
Yeah.
4 of the players?
4 other players. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I always thought, because the people were always thinking, well, why isn't it the original 5 and this and other thing? But Axl had been playing with those guys for 10 years, some of them. He's not going to ditch all of his guys.
Right.
I didn't think that was ever anything that would be possible. Was it cool kind of melding the two bands together? Was it?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I didn't really look at it that way.
Yeah.
Frank, I had played with, the drummer, Frank, and Richard. Those guys, they're great players.
Right.
And they're fellas. I don't know if you're out on the tour, when they were in the Dead Daisies.
Yeah, at Kiss Cruise we played with them. Richard was on it.
Okay. I did the Monster Uproar
Yeah,
tour with Loaded, and the Daisies were on that. And, I those are like the guys in Loaded, or they're like the guys in your band. Just guys you like to hang out
Right.
with.
Yeah,
Good
dudes,
players. Good players. So that wasn't a big... It didn't seem like a melding of bands. Frank's a great drummer. Richard's ridiculous.
Great player.
Rhythm guitar player.
Yeah, great player.
So it's like, okay, cool.
Right.
Fine. Dizzy's been there since
True.
Illusions.
Yeah.
And so that wasn't anything. Dizzy's Dizzy. Adding Melissa in, she's wonderful in so many different aspects. Her backup vocals. I sing a lot, and her and I sing together. So that's a whole nother trip down a discipline, which is singing backups to Axl. A lot of falsetto, a lot of
You sang a lot too. I know. I was watching.
Yeah.
On that tour.
There's a lot of backup vocals.
Yeah.
And so her and I working on all that stuff. So she's kind of invaluable when it comes to that. And then all the stuff she does, God knows what she does over there.
A
But
multi-instrumentalist,
Yeah.
you would say, right?
yeah.
Was there ever a thought of trying with the original 5 guys?
Sure. But just there were some things that were almost just impossible, you know, to get to work. And it's not like we didn't try. And with Steven, it was great to at least bring him out where he could and play a couple songs. This is a long set, like you said, gig shape. You got to train like a pro athlete.
Yeah.
Not any different. And you got to train like I'm 55, you know, a 55-year-old, I got to train like I'm 28, 25. So that takes you have to have the mindset. You have to have a fighter's mindset.
When I just saw Kiss a couple times on the farewell tour.
Yeah, I saw a show.
Amazing
Yeah.
show. Still some old school guys bitching. For example, Peter Criss is not in the band. Peter Criss couldn't do that show.
Right.
And it's nothing against him. It's just, like you said, the gig shape is not the same. There's a 2-hour show, a 3-hour show. You have to be playing the whole time. You know, you got to practice a lot. You got to be ready to go. So I can see that. If you, a guy like Izzy who'd been off for years, I don't even know where he is or if he was ever considered, but it might be hard to come back and jump right into that if you even wanted to in the first place.
Right.
You'd really have to, like you said, go to do the treadmill and do all that other stuff and practice 8 hours a day.
And have the mindset to really, like, we're going to do this.
Right.
And we're going to do it right. And we're going to do it for a while here. And, you know, going out, leaving your home for 12 weeks at a time or whatever it is not the easiest thing in the world to do.
Right.
You and I have been touring. We know how to juggle family and like what you're flying back to Tampa tonight, flying to Liverpool for a day, flying back home. You know how to juggle. You're in Los Angeles today. You know how to juggle your kids and your wife and get not juggle. That's not the. But you got to schedule everything so that your family's still at the top of everything. But you got to do these shows. So you got to. It's a whole like almost military campaign, you know, to get this whole thing together, so that everybody's cool. And if you're not prepared to do that, then it's going to be very hard on
Mentally and physically.
Yeah.
So the Guns N' Roses tour is still going, but was that always the plan? Was it always supposed to be long term? Before Duff answers that question, and as everyone's been waiting, finally gets the highly anticipated live joke of the week, let me give a shout out to one of the sponsors who's making this possible, O'Reilly Auto Parts. Doing a repair that needs a special tool? O'Reilly Auto Parts makes it easy with their loaner tool program. They've got over 80 specialized loaner tools available, so they're sure to have a tool in stock to help you get the job done. Purchase the needed parts and put down a deposit on the loaner tool, return the tool in its original condition, and receive a full refund. O'Reilly Auto Parts, better service every day. Talk is Jericho is also being sponsored in part by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. I'm not going very far. I'm in a rush. It's too uncomfortable. Sometimes I just forget. Don't kid yourself. There's no such thing as a good excuse for not buckling up. If you've used any of these excuses or any others, you're putting yourself at risk of injury or death. Now check this out. In 2017, more than 10,000 people were unbuckled when they were killed in car crashes. That's 51% of people killed in motor vehicle crashes that were not wearing seatbelts. No matter what kind of vehicle you drive, wearing your seatbelt is the best defense in a crash. Even when you sit in the back seat, you still need to buckle up. Even when you're riding a taxi or you get an Uber or you have a limo pick you up, you still got to buckle up. Don't forget that. And remember, cops are on the lookout and writing tickets to people that are unbuckled, so why take the risk, okay? In 2017 alone, seatbelts saved nearly 15,000 lives. One of those lives could be yours. Do the smart thing. Buckle up every trip, day or night, always. Remember, click it or ticket. Did you guys always know, like you mentioned, that it was going to be a long-term thing when the Guns N' Roses reunion, quote unquote? Was it just to try it for a bit, or did you always say we want to do this for the long haul?
I mean, nothing was really said in those exact terms, but once you start rehearsing for this thing, sorry, Jericho listeners, I have a dog who goes crazy anytime somebody comes to the house. Hold on, let me shut
Right.
these. I do have a joke. It's a little off color for me,
All right.
actually. A friend of mine.
We could actually make this the live. We'll put the
Yeah.
show on a Friday. So here it is. The Duff McKagan joke of the week.
Hi, Chris Jericho. It's Duff McKagan. Actually, I'm sitting right in front of you. A friend of mine. He went and had sex with a pretty large gal the other night, and he got up on top of her. He said, "Hey, can we turn off the lights?" She goes, "What are you, a little shy?" He goes, "No, I just don't want to burn my ass." Little off color for me. She was pretty large. I guess.
That's always my favorite Duff McKagan jokes when you explain kind of a little bit of a travelogue as to where you are. I also like it when you get flustered and have to start again, or you have to hang up and call back.
Yes.
Those are always good ones as well.
Well, I can't, for those listeners out there, I can't. Chris Jericho will never pick up the phone when I call because he.
Well, you told me not to, because one time I
Right.
did. You're like, I'm trying to call a joke. Don't
Right.
pick up the phone.
So I'll have to text him first if we ever want to talk to him on the phone.
This is not a joke. Call me.
But if I don't know the joke well enough, yeah, I'll start. It's, the red light's on, man. When I call you,
That's right.
The voicemail, the red light's on. I
gotta
better
be going.
nail this joke. And
Yeah. People will dig it though. They've been sending in their own submissions at
Oh.
Talk is Jericho, their own jokes of the week. So it's become quite the
oh,
thing.
we've got some, right?
We have gotten
I
some. Yeah,
told
there was the Nobel Prize was I think one of the
Yeah,
ones
yeah, yeah.
recently. When just a couple more things about Guns N' Roses. So when you guys are still doing shows, you mentioned that you've done the Tenderness record. Slash has done the Conspirators record.
Yeah,
You
which
know
is
the-
something he started before. So
Before.
there was certain agreements. Like, hey man, I promised. Like in Slash's case, they had already started working on a record, and there's something about being righteous to the people you played with, and so we agreed that cool, man. If you, do that and go do your thing, and we scheduled around it, and he scheduled around us, and it's all cool. It's all copacetic and right on. And doing this record, it was gonna be a book, but it's not a rock and roll record, so it's not.
Tenderness has almost got like an Elton John type feel, early '70s Elton to it.
I was really going for like 70s.
I really felt that,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. And so it's not I'm out doing a lot of rock and roll right now, loud rock and roll, which I was born to do. So I think in me making this record, it's not in any way like a competition to Guns. And for me to come off of this tour and make a loaded record, loud, aggressive, with these same topics, I think it would be another kind of screaming voice in this time where we don't need any more of that. Especially about the topics. Not like I'm getting political, but they're gentler topics. They're more serious topics.
The album is called Tenderness just by the title alone.
Yeah.
So I guess the question is there riffs that you have in the can for Guns N' Roses? You have thought about doing any new material, or just want to keep doing live shows? Is that the secret?
The secret.
The secret.
As I said, things are very positive in our case.
That's great. I mean,
Yeah.
I think that would be for a fan the be all end all new Guns N' Roses record.
I would think so too.
Just to see. But then again, it's weird too because in 2019, what does that sound like?
Yeah, hopefully it would sound, familiar. I think it will. I think, when you get I noticed when I went and played 5 shows with Axl in 2014,
Right.
Tommy Stinson had to do replacement shows. There was gigs booked in South America that Axl had booked. And at that point, he and I were, things were cool. I'd, run into him in London. Our hotel rooms were right next to each other. Of all the cities, of all the hotels in the world.
This is just randomly, right?
Random. Yeah. And
Kind of like what happened to us in Winnipeg. Remember that? We were
yes.
staying at the same hotel, on the same
Indeed.
floor, had no idea. Stick your head out the door. I
Yeah.
stick my head out the door. It's like you're 2 doors down. I'm like, dude.
Yeah. I mean, the chances of something like that
Right.
happening are, but it does happen. And so I went and played these shows. I rehearsed with the band he had at the time. And then we went to South America, and it was the moment that he and I got on the stage and played together. There was that groove, and that was just two of us. There was that kind of inexplicable groove, or whatever it was, and it was super recognizable. It's like, oh man, there's that thing that we, that we discovered in each other back in 1985.
Chemistry.
All of us had been in these other bands and all this stuff. When we found each other, it was just like this chemistry, right? Exactly. That, okay, we found each other finally. And so having the three of us, and starting this thing, that the chemistry, and that's how we ended, really. The Illusions tour was just the three of us.
The three of you, right?
Yeah.
Right. Good point.
Yeah. The last 2 years of that tour really was the three of us. So it's not odd, like that's how it ended. So there is that familiar thing that the three of us have, and I couldn't put a finger on it, but it's cool.
I feel like you were the lukewarm water in the situation. We talk about Spinal Tap. Derek Smalls, he's in between fire and ice, and he's the lukewarm water in the band. Not to get into the details, but it seemed to me, because you had jammed with Slash for years and you had jammed with Axl again, that there was probably some common ground there between you with each side. Oh, this busy place, man.
Yeah,
guys all over the place. But I think once again, whatever goes down or doesn't go down, tour was a huge success, and people are excited to have Guns N' Roses back on the planet again.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I am too. It's cool. It's cool, and it's cool in the way we did it, and it's cool. Like, I think we'd all agree, it's just that we're on these great terms again, and have talked about stuff that happened before. Kind of realizing, like, I know when I wrote my first book, the It's So Easy book, and I started that thing and to tell and the arc of my story was, how did a guy who just wanted to play rock and roll get strung out and alcoholic, and how did I get my way out of it? That was the arc, my intention. But in telling that story, I had to tell, of course, my life in Guns N' Roses, because that what was swirling around me at the time, and I'd recognized that. I told myself, it's just human to do. You don't want to live with all the dark shit you did, so you start telling yourself these other stories. Maybe it was everybody else's fault. It wasn't my fault. And in writing that book, I would write. I'd be sitting on a couch, for instance, and one of my little daughters at the time would be sitting next to me, and I'd write 4,000 words, and it would be a lie. It would be a lie. Like, that's not the real story.
Because you weren't going deep enough.
Wasn't good. What's your part in this story?
Huh?
What's your real part in this story? Hey, perhaps you're partly to blame for this particular thing. Actually, maybe more than partly to blame. Maybe you could have been a better motherfucker right there and not been so f***ed up. And so I really started to dive into that stuff. And it's not, doesn't feel good to take responsibility for all this stuff, but in doing that, it cleansed me more than all that sobriety had done. I thought I'd done all the work in martial arts and really like taking responsibility for my actions, but writing that book really made me do that. And I think we're doing that as a band, like talking about old stuff, and some of it's pretty funny. Most of it's pretty funny, Right. Like, we're just, Well,
the thing is, I've had the same thing with guys. There's a few guys who just hate each other, like back in the early 2000s in wrestling, and now really good friends. It's like, what was the problem again? Why did we have such an issue with each other? You're dealing with kids, and then adults who then realize how much respect there is with other guys who are at your level, your peers, and your chemistry.
Right.
I'm sure there's some times when you guys sit there going like, why did we ever break up, or whatever the deal was?
Whatever, yeah.
Right?
Whatever the story is.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And there's some stories that are pretty funny, like, I thought it went down like this. Well, I thought it went down like this. And then the third voice, I thought it went down like this. Like, why don't we just talk about it then? Because we were, we didn't have the skill set, and there was a lot going on then.
There's a lot of alcohol and drugs and all that sort of thing too.
And there was a lot of different outside people too, you know, and that's something we try not to let happen now, you know. Like we'll just deal with 3 of us. We'll talk about it, you know.
As you should, you know.
Let's do that.
As we wind down here, you mentioned something with being sober for 25 years. Do you even can you even remember old Duff? You know, the wasted Duff? Like,
No, I'll see a picture here and there that's, you know, I put some in my book. I'll see a picture when I was in that the worst of my, and I don't look alive, you know, and I knew I was in a if I see a picture from different period, like 92, 93, especially 93 is the worst. I look pretty lost, and I'm the opposite of that now, for sure. And it took me a couple years in sobriety to figure out who I was, and I really lived like a monk for those 2 years. I just trained at the dojo twice a day.
with your sensei? Yeah.
With my sensei, I would ride my mountain bike. I would read history. Didn't date girls. You know, didn't know how to. You know, like
Right.
What are we gonna do? Am I gonna go to a bar and meet? You know,
Right.
I thought, well, you know, I lived alone, and it was pretty cleansing. I started playing guitar again, and then the thing that really brought me back into music was Steve Jones.
Oh, our favorite guy.
Our favorite guy. He's like, hey, you want to play a gig at the Vibe Room? We'll put together this band. And I'm like, Steve, I don't know if I can play sober. He had been sober for a couple of years. He just said, and he's like my idol, you know, Steve Jones from Pistols. I learned to play guitar copying him, and he said, you're gonna be okay, mate. It's gonna be you're gonna be fine. And I just hung on to those words, and got to that first gig. Played the Vibe Room.
Neurotic Outsiders.
Neurotic Outsiders, and people thought, because they hadn't seen me for a couple of years, and people like all these rumors started. I had a facelift and got like all this stuff, which I hadn't. I'd just gotten sober.
You'd lost weight.
I'd lost all that booze weight. That'll come off pretty quick.
Yeah, that water weight.
It's just
Floating.
Yeah, that's just like the Elvis. Yeah,
Right.
It's just water. Yeah. So I lost that. There's a hill in the Hollywood Hills that has that 50 pounds on it from my mountain bike.
Right.
It just came off.
Yeah.
You know? There's probably still DNA on Wonderland Avenue. It's a steep ass hill. Yeah.
Yeah. Last thing. So with Tenderness, like you said, you have the European tour coming up. Is there any more touring that you can do, or when Guns N' Roses goes in the fall, is that a few shows? Are you guys going back out again?
I am doing a U.S. tour, short one. It's about, 2.5 weeks long. Starts in Philly on May 30th. Record comes out 31st. We'll be in D.C., Boston, New York, Chicago, Nashville, Austin, L.A., up the West Coast to Seattle.
Were you playing in L.A.?
At the El Rey.
Oh, okay, so you're playing some good theaters.
Yeah. Hopefully there's, it's not just 7 people like, hey, I know the record.
Play Sweet Child of Mine, eh?
Yeah, right. I don't think there'll be any of that, because I think I've been pretty clear. I've done a bunch of press for this record. There is a 3,500 word sort of mini book that comes with the vinyl, and that'll probably get out there. And it reads, it tells you the intent of the record and kind of the whole story around it.
I think at this point too, I mean, it's not like you weren't doing anything before the Guns N' Roses. You had Loaded and Walking Papers,
yeah.
and so I think people know
Velvet Revolver.
but you have your own thing going as well. So I don't think people are going to expect.
I've never stopped. Yeah,
Right.
except when I went to college. Even then, we had Loaded, and it was like my college band. Like spring break, we'd go play Japan.
Yeah.
So, I've never stopped, and I tour. You and I tour a lot alike. You just go.
Yeah.
You play every night. You take care of yourself.
Yeah.
Your band's tours are a lot like Loaded band's tours. Like you just go.
Well, they have to be.
Yeah. You
And if
play
you're-
every night,
Yeah.
and
If you're touring on a bus across the country, a night off is Everyone else gets paid but you.
Yeah.
You know?
And you don't know what to do with that night off.
That's right. It's the worst.
Yeah.
I just fly home now if it's for a day or
Yeah.
2 days. Like we do 5 on and 2 off now. And I go home 2 days a week.
Right.
You know, and I won't go to Europe more than 3 weeks at
Right.
the most. Just forget it. It's not worth it, right?
Yeah, we have this 13-day rule in my family. Can't be apart more than 13 days.
Oh, okay.
So, by hook or by crook, I'll fly home, or Susan will come out. The girls, now they're in college, and
Yeah.
Grace got her band and stuff, so that's different. But if I want to see Grace, like I got her on some shows
Oh, cool.
in Europe with
What's
Guns.
the band called?
Pink Slips.
Pink
They're killer.
Yeah. You sent me one of the songs. It was really good.
Yeah. So
So she sings,
she sings.
and does she play too, or just sing?
She just sings.
Sings, gotcha.
Yeah, and they have a new song. It's on the top 5 on K-Rock right
Nice.
now. So they're doing well. My
That's
wife's
good.
got her novel, so she's been doing this book tour. Family's doing good. My other daughter, May's in New York City.
That's the thing. As the family gets older and everyone does their own thing, you're the one that has to kind of come home to see them now.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah. Or go to New York to see my daughter.
Yeah.
Which I just did.
Right.
And Susan was doing a book things out there, and I was doing press, so we got to see our daughter. But yeah, it's juggling. You know, it's juggling. So.
Yeah. Last couple questions. What's your favorite song on Tenderness?
Ooh, it's kind of switches around. I mean, I think the ending song, "Don't Look Behind You," is because it sums up the record. Right now, it's probably my favorite. My brother Matt played horns on it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and he played horns on "Move to the City" back in the day.
No kidding.
Guns and "Live and Let Die" and stuff.
Oh,
So
that's
we
cool.
got. They were called the Suicide Horn Section. They played live with Guns in the days, back in the day.
Right on.
And so I got my brother back in and got the Waters singing group on that song, who sang on "Knock on Heaven's Door." So kind of had these reunions on
Yeah.
on that song in particular. But I'm very proud of the record and the words I chose to explain the stories. I didn't do one rhyme of fire and desire, you know.
Action satisfaction.
Yeah, none of that. So action satisfaction. Yeah. So yeah, I'm psyched about the record. I'm psyched about the kind of prospect of social impact that I could have, and that's just, again, that's people helping other people, connecting one person with another person, and I really truly believe that's all we can really do right now. And I'm so over the cable news and the bitching and moaning and whining and pointing fingers. Like, I'm way beyond that. Like, let's just help each other out.
meet each other.
Yeah.
Who's your favorite or most intriguing historical figure?
Frederick Douglass, pretty cool. If you read My Bondage, My Freedom, he wrote that book. He learned to write. As a slave kid, he was just a genius. He learned to write by rote, basically. He was just a genius, born a genius. And the book stops when he escapes freedom because he couldn't tell who helped him. So the story stops at Baltimore, picks up again in upstate New York. He's free. So he had to leave that all out.
Oh, wow.
That book and his life, I think, is really truly astounding. He became this amazing spokesman and orator and educator and everything. There's a bunch of people I think are fascinating, but I just got a Frederick Douglass T-shirt, cut it up, at the African American Museum in D.C. that's just opened.
Right on.
But he's a baller.
He's a baller.
Yeah.
And as far as Guns N' Roses, what's your favorite?
Oh, and Grant.
Grant.
I just read the Grant.
Ulysses S. Grant? Or who?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's right.
Gotcha.
Fascinating guy. Alcoholic.
President,
Amazing.
right?
He became president.
President.
Yeah, twice.
Well, he's
He
cool.
didn't want to be president at all, but he was kind of just like, well, the country needs me, and they want me to be the president. He didn't really know how to do
Plus,
that.
anybody named Ulysses just can rules.
Yeah.
I mean, we need more Ulysses in the world.
Yeah.
Which Guns N' Roses tune do you still like playing live?
I like playing them all.
Yeah?
To be honest with you. Yeah, I really do. I like the depth of a song like November Rain. You know, it strikes me nightly, and Estranged and Chrome
Strange is one I didn't get when Illusion came out because I was only 20 years old and I
Right.
wanted rock and roll.
Mhm.
That song maybe my favorite Guns N' Roses song. It's so diverse,
Yeah.
so deep,
Yeah.
and like, wow, it's just amazing.
Right. Coma's super fun and aggressive to
So
play.
funny you brought that into the set too. Yeah, very random.
And we never played it back in the day
Yeah.
because it's too hard for Axl to sing. But now, because he's become this master, that's one of the first that said, "Can we play Coma?" I'm like, really? There's a part in the middle where he has to, at the end, where he has to like circular breathe.
Mm.
There's no, and we were rehearsing that one. I'm like, man, you could take a couple words out. And he goes, no, I can't. I'm like, if you took that word out, you could breathe right there. Like, I can't do that, man.
That's cool.
Can't. Yeah.
No cheating.
No cheating. Yeah. Yeah. So, man, but all of them, I'm just very appreciative of us doing the thing again, and the feedback we've gotten from audiences that there's nothing like that. And
It's almost like the world needed it. Rock and roll needed it. Because I'll tell you this, as soon as you guys did the stadium tours, I
Yeah.
said, there's no way that Lars is not going to do a stadium tour. And he did. And that just brings more rock and roll.
Yeah.
You know, Guns N' Roses in the stadium, Metallica's in the stadium, Maiden's playing the stadium
Yeah.
here in LA in September. I mean, I
Yeah.
think that was all kind of, that kicked off because DC was playing stadiums too, but Guns N' Roses coming back and doing that opened the door for some of these other big bands to do it as well.
yeah,
You know, which
Yeah.
rock and roll needed. So.
for sure. I mean, and yeah, next chapter.
Okay, knock knock joke. Knock knock.
Who's there?
Dwayne.
Dwayne who?
Dwayne the Tub, I'm drowning.
Wow. Chris Jericho, ladies and gentlemen.
Chris Jericho's joke of the week.
There it is. Okay.
Thanks,
well,
dude.
thanks for coming over to my house.
Oh, man, thanks for having me at your house. I know you got lots of stuff to do. So,
You
by
have
the way,
more.
thanks for the peanut butter smoothie.
You might get a little gassy later on.
Really?
I don't know how you handle it.
It's
What's
better
it-
than the smoothie that Phil Collin made me.
What'd you have?
Like it had lemon germs and wheatgrass and carrots and spinach in it. This is much better.
It tastes a lot better.
Yeah, much better.
It'll
Yeah.
fill you out more.
There you go.
I put like a 95 grams of protein in there for
Thanks.
you.
I'm
Yeah.
definitely going to be gassy later. I better leave before I hit you.
Yeah.
Before I crop dust you.
Okay.
All right, thanks to Duff McKagan. Duff's new solo album, Tenderness, is out today. You can stream it and download it wherever you get music. And check out Duff on tour. He's got solo dates starting again May 31st in Philly. He's got Shooter Jennings on the road with him. As you heard, Shooter very integral in the making of this record. And Shooter's band is also serving as Duff's solo band. It's a great show. All the dates and ticket info are on Duff's Facebook page. Check it out at Duff McKagan. And speaking of touring, Fozzie's headed west this fall. Head west, young Foz. We're doing the opening slot at the Los Angeles stop of the Iron Maiden tour on September 14th at the Bank of California Stadium. So we decided to book a whole tour around it. We're going to Denver on September 5th, Colorado Springs on the 6th, Grand Junction, Colorado, Salt Lake City, Crystal Bay, Nevada, San Francisco, Sacramento, Las Vegas, San Diego, Tempe, Tucson, El Paso, Dallas, Houston, Hattiesburg, Atlanta. All ticket info at FozzieRock.com. You can also buy tickets to the Fozzie VIP meet and greet we do before each show. One of the best in the business. We take pictures, we do a private mini set for you. We meet you, we greet you. So come hang with Fozzie before the show and join us. Unleashed in the West with Jared James Nichols and Sons of Texas joining us. Go to FozzieRock.com for all gig information. And go to ChrisJerichoCruise.com as we get near the end of the line here on Chris Jericho's Rock and Wrestling Rage with C Part 2. We're setting sail January 20th. We are 86% sold out. Okay, don't wait any longer. Fozzie's going to be there. Ric Flair, Scott Hall, Kevin Nash, X-Pac, Jake the Snake Roberts, Booker T, Queen Sharmell, MVP. Brad Williams is the host. He's hilarious. Vicky Guerrero, Shaul Guerrero, the Vaudettes, Jack Slade, Solo Cup Jeff, Eric Bischoff, Conrad Thompson, Teddy Irvin's going to be there, the babyface assassin, Farewell to Fear, Rubik's Cube, Killer Queen, the Dave Spivak Project, Jared James Nichols is going to be there as well, Kick-Axe, legendary Kick-Axe, and of course Diamond Dallas Page doing yoga, Beyond the Darkness hosting more creepy paranormal events, and AEW is going to be there, the hottest new company in the wrestling world today. If you haven't seen Double or Nothing, go back and watch it on pay-per-view. If you want to see more, come join us at Chris Jericho's Rock and Wrestling Rager at Sea. AEW is going to be there. Go to ChrisJerichoCruise.com now and book your cabin. And don't forget on June 9th, Jericho versus Okada in Osaka at New Japan's Pro Wrestling Dominion show, Osaka Joe Hall. Don't miss out on this. Osaka Show Hall is sold out, but you can watch the show on New Japan World. It's a dream match, and after headlining the biggest show in All Elite Wrestling history, I'm also going to headline another huge show next week here in Osaka, Japan. So that's all she wrote. Have a great weekend. And coming up on Wednesday, the hits keep on coming after the huge Jon Moxley podcast, the Jon Moxley episode. I got Dustin Rhodes on Wednesday. The two big stars coming out of that, surprise stars, were Jon Moxley and Dustin Rhodes. Dustin's going to be here talking all about his match with Cody Rhodes, leaving the WWE, his great classic match with Roddy Piper, street fight they had at WrestleMania. So much cool stuff, so be sure to check it out. Have a great weekend in the meantime, and in between time, stay hard, stay hungry, peace, love, and hugs, and a big yeah, boy! We'll see you soon. All right, Duff McKagan, go check out Tenderness and go check it out now.
The Westwood One Podcast Network.
Jon Moxley! I don't think he's here to say thanks. Jon Moxley has deployed on this squared circle at the MGM Grand Garden Arena with a twinkle in his eye, and Jericho is pissed.
All right, so this is going to be a huge episode of Talk is Jericho, and I just want to say as a precursor, before we get into it, and we're going to get right into it, but we've recorded this a few days before Double or Nothing, and a few days before Jon Moxley surprise attacked me in the ring and gave me a Dirty Deeds at DDT. So I'm not happy about that, and if he was here right now, I'd slap him in his face. But as a journalist, this interview is unbelievable, and I'm very happy with that. So even though Dean Ambrose has an ass kicking coming to him, this is his first interview since leaving the WWE, and man, he's got a lot to say. So let's get right into it right here. The emancipation of Jon Moxley. Talk is Jericho.
Talk is Jericho, baby. Talk is Jericho. Talk is Jericho, mama. Talk is me.
Okay, so it was a pretty crazy weekend. Double or Nothing was huge. Lots of surprises, lots of great matches, but one of the biggest surprises, if not the biggest, was the appearance, the addition of Jon Moxley to AEW. And you've been on this podcast a few times, Paranormal Podcast, one with Jeff Hardy. The difference was back then we were both in WWE, and now here we are, both full-time members of All Elite Wrestling, which still seems a little weird for me, but I'm actually glad to have you because it's one other guy that kind of came from that system.
I'm very glad to be here because Chris, my friend, it is time to talk. Finally, after a bizarre few months, it's been crazy because throughout all of this, I mean, I guess it's been 5 months or so since rumors or whatever leaked that I was planning on leaving WWE at the end of April. You know, the world went into pandemonium, and you know, I'm sitting there listening to everybody give their opinion and give all these different rumors, and everybody's talking about it. The announcers are talking about it while I'm in the ring. The fans know, and I haven't said a word throughout this whole process.
It's interesting, yeah.
I've just been. I didn't ask them to put out a weird press release or bring it up on commentary or none of that. I haven't said a word. The only thing that was close to a word I even said was we had the little interview with Michael Cole, and I said something at the very end, and that was only out of self-preservation because I had a feeling I was getting set up, so I was ready and I beat him to the punch. And even that, I didn't really give any information out.
What did you say?
You know, I said, I just gave him the line, you know, I walked in this casino 8 years ago, and now I'm cashing in my chips. That didn't give any information. And that was only out of self-preservation because I thought that was some kind of like setup where they're going to try to like, breaking news, Jon Moxley can't hack it in WWE, so he's going to go pursue a career in the minor leagues or something like that, you know? So I was ready for that. But hey, man, you know, we're sitting here at my kitchen table and my beautiful home, and I have never been happy. I am at the absolute apex of life right now. I feel so good. I feel like the weight of the world has been lifted off of my shoulders, and nothing but gratitude toward WWE. Nothing but positivity over here. Nothing but gratitude. That place, I'm so grateful for my run there. You know, that place changed my life. When I walked in there, I was a kid. You know, now I'm an adult. I grew up there in a lot of ways. In a lot of ways, I'm a different person than I was when I started there. In a lot of ways, I learned a lot of life skills and have grown as a person during my time there. I mean, it was almost 8 years ago exactly, May of 2011. I got my little beater car, and I drove 24 hours straight nonstop from Philly to Tampa with nothing but, you know, my gym bag full of wrestling gear and whatever cash I had in my pocket was all I had to my name. And now, you know, 8 years later, I got to live my dream. I got to do so many amazing things, you know, in the ring in WWE. I got the opportunity and the real blessing to be a big part of like the Make-A-Wish program, and to connect with so many fans all over the world, and to be, you know, it's something I kind of took seriously over, you know, my whole time there. No matter what I was mad about, or, you know, I'm mad about creative or whatever, I always tried to remember that, like, you know, it's hard to, until you are one of those guys doing like Make-A-Wish stuff and you meet these fans from all over the world and they tell you these stories about how you know, help them persevere through whatever, you know, they did. When I always took that responsibility very seriously, you know, so I was always very grateful for that. And, you know, if nothing else, over all these past 8 years, I met my wife in WWE.
Right.
Who's my best friend and my soulmate. And if we got nothing else out of this run, you know, I got her. And, you know, I always tell her, I'm like, yo, if things ever get too weird, we'll just sell all this stuff. We'll just hop in an RV and we'll hit the road, babe, because all we need is each other. So, needless to say, the last 8 years couldn't have been any more successful. And full of gratitude to WWE for that. So now that I got that out of the way, let's just bury the company for the next 2 hours.
Well, I mean, let's because I'm the same way. Just, you know, so we're on the same page, which you know that, but just everybody listening, I love the WWE. I wrestled there for 18 years. Had no intentions of ever wrestling anywhere else other than for the WWE and for Vince McMahon until the opportunity came to work with Kenny Omega at the Tokyo Dome last year. And when I did that match, I realized that this is actually really fun. And reasons which I'm sure we'll get into, a lot more free. I felt more like an artist. I felt more like there was no chains or restrictions for what I could and couldn't do. I was allowed to be Chris Jericho, a 28-year vet who knew how to put together a wrestling match. And after that, I realized I want to stay in Japan for a bit. I did 3 or 4 matches in Japan, and then when the opportunity for AEW came up, I really started thinking, do I want to go back to WWE? Because I know what to expect. I know what's going to happen. I know what it's like. For you, because like you mentioned, I hadn't seen you for a couple of years. Because my last run there, you got hurt and you were gone, and when then I was gone. What and where did you start to realize that maybe I don't want to stay here and continue in this system?
I pretty much knew that I was gone in July of 2018. And at that point, I was out with an injury. I tore my tricep, and normally that would only be like a 4-month thing, but it was so banged up and bruised because I'd been working on it, hurt for a long time, and it was just, the tendon was all mangled and everything, so it was like minimum 6 months. Then I got a staph infection, then I had to go in for surgery again. It turned into 9 months. It was like, yes, a very miserable time in my life, very challenging. In July is when I knew. Before we get to that, let's dive right into some good stuff, right? I kind of want to tell a couple stories, and I'm going to try to tell them almost from like an objective third-person standpoint, you know, and just kind of let the viewer decide if this is ridiculous or not, right? And gonna kind of shine a light on the creative process that goes on in WWE. To give the fans a glimpse into what it was actually like, a day in the life of Dean Ambrose, right? So, the first one I'm gonna tell you is the day that I physically looked at the calendar and started counting down the days. The other one will be the day that I absolutely knew 100%, no turning back, I am gone. The day I almost walked out. Because, even though I knew in July, I knew the whole time that I wasn't going to quit. I wasn't going to ask for my release. I wasn't going to try to get fired, anything like that. I was just going to ride it out to the very end for a couple reasons. One, I'd just rather not do business like that if I don't have to. My wife works there. I didn't want to it would have been unfair to put her in a position of any awkwardness, And, we get all the way to April 30th, the clock strikes midnight. I'm just free, and I get all my royalties, So if they're going to sell a Shield DVD in Cambodia 2 years from now, I'm getting my 2.7 cents. You better believe that.
Right.
Yeah, so, okay, all right, you know what? Before I even do that, I'm going to give you we're going to start off with a little snippet. I'm going to give you a pre-appetizer, right? Before we tell these, and then maybe go back and tell the linear story of what my 2018 looked like. Pre-appetizer, and a amuse-bouche, if you will.
Okay, so before John gets into his story, let me take a minute to tell you about one of the best gifts you can get any dad for Father's Day, which, in case you were wondering, is less than 2 weeks away. Get your dad Omaha Steaks. I love Omaha Steaks. I got the Father's Day Steak Fix gift package sent to me, and it is amazing. My goodness, it is so tasty as well, and there's such a variety of food and meats involved. And you can get this same gift pack right now for 74% off. Yeah, 74% off when you go to omahasteaks.com and enter the code Jericho in the search bar. That's a $235 value for just $59.99. And the Father's Day Steak Fix gift package is loaded with Omaha Steak products. Here's what you get. 2 filet mignons, which were already grilled up and ate. We ate them very quickly, and they were so tender and juicy, better than any grocery store filet mignons that I've bought recently, and that's not a joke. It's maybe the best steaks I've ever grilled myself. We also got 2 top sirloins, 2 pork chops, 4 Omaha Steak burgers, 4 gourmet jumbo franks, 4 chicken fried steaks, all beef meatballs, 4 premium chicken breasts, 4 caramel apple tartlets for dessert, a packet of Omaha Steak signature seasoning, and a partridge in a pear tree. Oh, and if you order now at omahasteaks.com and use the promo code Jericho today, you'll also get 4 extra Omaha Steaks burgers for free. Think about all that stuff I just read off. You get all of that food delivered right to your front door for just $59.99. That's 74% off the regular price. Let me just say the signature seasoning of the Omaha Steaks is amazing as well. I want you to order it today at omahasteaks.com and enter the code Jericho in the search bar. And then when your Father's Day Steak Fix gift package arrives, do what I did. Grab the steaks, rub some of the Omaha Steaks signature seasoning on them, and throw them on your grill. You're not going to believe how delicious those steaks are going to be. Order today and make yourself a 5-star steakhouse dinner right in your own home. Go to omahasteaks.com and enter the code Jericho in the search bar. That's omahasteaks.com and type Jericho into the search bar to save 74% on the Father's Day Steak Fix gift package. Your grill is going to love you. Your family is going to love you. Your stomach is going to love you. I'm going to love you. Go to omahasteaks.com and use the code Jericho today This is tasty, tasty stuff. Like I said, the best steak I've grilled in a long time was the Omaha Steak Filet Mignon. So go check it out right now. Once again, omahasteaks.com with the code Jericho and enjoy the flavor. All right, let's get back to John Moxley.
So one day I come into TV like normal. At this time, I think I'm on SmackDown. I'm a good guy. I'm a baby face. A pretty major good guy on the show. Basically the lead good guy on the show at this point. I come in and I get a backstage promo handed to me from a writer. Writer is going to be a key word in this podcast you will find. So, and the word script. I get a script handed to me by a writer, right? And it's a backstage promo, and it's me describing the things I did on the way to the arena that day. And I can't remember exactly what the things were, because they were so ridiculous. And this isn't an isolated incident. There's hundreds of these promos that have happened over the years that they all, get lost in the shuffle. But there's 3 or 4 things. They weren't things that a cool person does, that a relatable person does, that a guy you want to a guy you want to have a beer with does. Not even things a guy you would root for does. These are things that an idiot would do. Like things along the lines of like driving backwards on the street in a unicycle, or sharing a pizza with a homeless man on the street, just weird stuff like that. So I'm like, I'm not saying any of that. All right, so I'm like, change all that, rewrite it just to something normal, go about my business. Writer comes back to me later. Vince redid it, put all that stuff back in. So I'm like, okay. Now I have to go in and talk to Vince.
Because you're supposed to be the wacky, kind of kooky guy who does, the unexpected. So therefore, you would ride a unicycle backwards for 30 feet.
Yeah, whatever it was, something like that. Yeah. So I'm like, nah. So if you can't get it through without having to go in there, now Vince has rewritten it himself. Now it's out of the writer's hands. Now I got to go in and talk to Vince. All right. Go in and talk to Vince. I'm like, yo, what all this stuff? I can't say all this stuff. What's ridiculous? And he's like, oh, it's such good shit. Oh, this stuff. This is the reason people like you. It's why they connect to you, because you're different, and it's so this is you. And I've had a million conversations with him that are almost this exact same conversation about similar promos or things. This is you. It's such good shit. This is what makes you you. And I said, so I'm an idiot. And he goes, no, it's you. You're different. And I'm like, okay. And I don't know where we landed on that particular promo or whatever. But that's just an example of that kind of sums up the battle I've been fighting for 6 years, right? So now let me take you to the day. I'm gonna try and just kind of tell this almost as a narrator, not try to be emotionally invested in it. This is the day that I started. I remember being in the writer's room, pulling out my phone and counting the days and being like, okay, how many days? I got 99 days left, or 146 days or whatever. And I'm like, that's what, 12, 15 Raws? I can do that. I can get through 12 more Raws or whatever it was. So we're in LA. Early start. Show starts at 5. So get there around noon. Seth gets there same time as me, working with Seth. I'm the bad guy at this point. I'm a heel. Get to the arena, and immediately a bunch of writers come up to me with a bunch of scripts. And the thread throughout the show is that Seth Rollins will be challenging me to come out to the ring and fight. And I'll pop up on the screen and cut a promo, and then cut various promos. I got like 6 promos throughout the night, saying a bunch of stuff. And then at the very end, we finally have a big fight in the ring, right? So it's going to be a long day. A lot of running around. Some are going to be live, some are going to be pre-taped. Even pre-taped ones that should take 30 seconds, as you know, in WWE, can take 40 minutes. And like
redo it, retake it, improve it.
Because the lighting's got to be perfect, etc., etc. So they hand me these scripts, and to my eye, all the things that are on these scripts, it's typical WWE script. It's a bunch of words, a bunch of big words, a bunch of goofy words. None of it makes any sense to me. We're not telling any kind of tangible story. We're not doing anything to get any kind of characters over, or nothing that makes any sense to me. So, typical. So, but the one I'm most concerned with is the in-ring promo at the end of the night. We'll worry about all these other little backstages. We'll deal with them when we get to them. I'm most concerned with the in-ring promo at the end of the night, SIG 16. So we go into the writer's room, I start reading this promo. And again, not trying to pass judgment, but to my eye, in my opinion, this is absolute hot garbage, awful crap. I can't make any sense of it. I don't know what we're even saying. The main gist of it was that the people are smelly, disgusting people, and they're foul, disgusting people. You can kind of just see Vince saying these words. Oh, Liverpool sounds like a skin disease, you know? That's
I was there that night.
Oh yeah. So you just picture the Vince face or whatever. I don't know who wrote this, but you know, if it was you, be ashamed of yourself. So it's a bunch of crap about, you know, the people are smelly and insulting the audience. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't get anything over. I'm confused. So I'm like, okay. But the thing that catches my eye the most is a joke about a pooper scooper. I'm gonna let that hang in the air for a minute. I'm gonna let you really absorb it, and then I'm gonna say it again. Pooper scooper. Like something along the lines of like, oh, I wouldn't come out there without a pooper scooper. And I'm like, I'm not saying that, no. So I'm like, let's change it. So I'm like, did Vince write this? Well, like, we don't know who wrote it. So, all right. So so now here's how the creative process works in WWE. Doesn't really make any sense. I still don't know how it works. But so now it's like, okay, Vince is in a meeting. So we have to try to rewrite it, send it into Koski, have it reprinted, and put it in front of Vince without the pooper scooper line. Because if he sees it, he's gonna fall in love with it. And then he's gonna be like, oh, you gotta say the pooper scooper line. It's such good shit. So we're like, okay, hurry up and take out the pooper scooper line, right? So he writes something along the lines of like, he tries to make it more like, we're in LA. He tries to insult the content of their characters more so than their actual smell. Says something along the lines of like, oh, LA shallow trash. I wouldn't come out here without a gas mask or something. Remember that because it's gonna be important later. And then I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever. I might have said that line, but whatever, you know. But we'll worry about it later. Let's just get it in front of Vince without the pooper scooper line, because I'm like, that's just too embarrassing. I can't say that. So anyway, we get it in, we send it in, we cross our fingers that Vince sees our version and not the original version. So then I go off to do. Now I'm a little bit exhausted just from this insanity, right? So I'm going off to do the next promo that was in the hallway with another writer, and I'm reading it. And again, it doesn't make any sense. I don't really know what I'm saying or what points I'm making or how I'm supposed to be getting any heat or telling any story or anything. And I'm like, I told the writer, I said, you know, if we didn't have to run around trying to like make ourselves not look like idiots and get rid of pooper scooper lines and stuff like that, you know, we could actually sit down and tell a story. And, you know, we're all just in self-preservation mode trying to not look like idiots instead of like creating good things. He's like, I don't know, whatever, you know, so whatever. Do that promo. I think that was pre-taped. Come back in the writer's room. And I'm like, is there any update? No update yet, but we did get this. Notes from BKM. And it says, notes from BKM. Dean needs to understand why he needs to insult the audience. Dean needs to read his promos verbatim and not try to rewrite them. And I'm just like, just like the feeling of getting punched in the gut, like, just like, what? And I said to the writer, it's not his fault, but I yelled at him. He just took the brunt of it. I was like, why do I work here? I'm a professional wrestler who can tell stories and come up with promos, and I believe that I have the ability to talk people into buildings, and I learned those skills years ago and wanted to bring them here to WWE, and you just want me to say your stupid lines. If you want somebody to read your stupid lines, hire an actor, because they'll probably do a better job of it than me. I'm not interested in doing it. Like, so I'm just like, so we'll still just hope that we got our version in before the Pooper Scooper version, right? So I go off to do another promo. I believe this one was live. And again, doesn't really make any sense to me. I'm just like saying stuff. And earlier I had to go into Vince because in this promo, there's a line that's a very distasteful line taking a jab at my friend who had leukemia and is now going off to recover from that, Roman Reigns. I don't remember what the line was, but I'm not saying, are you kidding me? Right? So I'm like, I'm going right into Vince on this one. This is clearly a mistake.
Cheap heat line.
Yeah, this is clearly a mistake, right? So I go into, like, I think it was in production meeting at the time, and I'm like, hey, real quick, this is, surely you don't want me to say this. And he's like, he's like, oh no, but Roman's part of the story. We got to make sure he's still included. You turn on him and Seth. And he kind of explains it to me, and like he says, you know, you just say the thing about Roman, or just include him. And he says it in kind of an innocuous way where it kind of didn't seem so bad coming out of it. I was like, okay. And all the writers are like, oh, you gotta include him. And basically, he gave me the Vince Jedi mind trick.
Yes.
Which I'm pretty immune to at this point, but every once in a while he still
You
gets
still get it, yeah.
And it's my fault. I got Jedi'd, whatever. So I'm like, oh, okay, right. So I think this one we did live. I cut the promo. As soon as that line left my mouth, I went, oh my God, I can't believe I just said that.
Remember what the line was?
It was just something about like, he's got cancer, sucks to be him, something like that.
Right.
Not cool. Especially like with, I mean, come on.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, dude. So, and it's like, in the middle of all this trying to get pooper scooper lines out of the scripts, I don't even realize that this horrible thing that I shouldn't be saying that I said, it's like, oh my God. You know, so now I go back into the writer's room. This is getting to be an exhausting day, right? And if you're having trouble following all this, imagine what it was like to be me, right? So now I go back into the writer's room. And success. We got our version of the promo in before the pooper scooper line, right? So, and also, remember, keep in mind during all this is a $1 billion company run by a man who's allegedly a genius. And keep in mind, we're all adults. And we're talking about stuff like this. So, good news. We got it in before the pooper scooper line. But when he wrote that, whatever line he wrote, something I wouldn't come out here without a gas mask or whatever. Now, I read the new promo. Now this is written by Vince. And it says, Dean Ambrose enters wearing a surgical mask. You know, like a mask like a doctor would wear to like protect you against diseases from the smelly, disgusting people. And it's just more of the same smelly, disgusting people. What is that smell? Just what the hell is that smell? And just I'm so embarrassed. I'm like, are you kidding me? Because he saw the gas mask. See, here's where he made a mistake. He used a noun. You gotta watch out for nouns because Vince will turn a noun into a prop real quick. So now I'm wearing a surgical mask. And he's like, yeah, he wants you to wear a surgical mask tonight. And then next week come out with a gas mask. And then the next week come out with a full hazmat suit to protect myself against the disgusting fans. And I'm like, oh my God. So I'm like, now I gotta go into Vince again. And I'm like, I remember I walked up to his office where he is at this point. And Koski was about to go in to go over something or whatever. And I'm like, hey, can I go in real quick? I just gotta do this. And he's like, okay, cool. And then I was about to walk in. I went, can you just give me 30 seconds though first? And I remember physically leaning on a road case and just feeling like actual exhaustion, just like emotional, physical, mental exhaustion. And not so much because of that day, but because of 6 years of this. 6 years of having to go into this man's office, this old man, and try to explain to him why wearing a surgical mask is a stupid idea, why carrying a little red wagon to the ring is a stupid idea, why maiming a mannequin in the ring is a stupid idea. I was just like, I was done. I was just, like, and I'm like, so I go in, and I'm like, yo, I tried to explain it that, like, I don't think people will be able to understand me if they can't see my mouth moving. He's like, oh, but it's such... so we came to some kind of compromise where I have like a handkerchief, which is a little less embarrassing. And he's like, oh, it's so you. You don't want to lose that thing that makes you you because you have so much creative license. You can do anything, you can check with props, see if maybe you could put a clothespin on your nose. I don't know, something like that. I'm thinking, what creative license? What creative license do I have? I do exactly what you tell me and it's terrible crap. That's not creative license, So I'm like, oh my God, so... whatever, do the promo with a handkerchief, whatever. And I remember I ran out of the building when I was done. We had a big fight that kind of was hot, I had a little bit of adrenaline. Everybody's super happy. People were high-fiving at the end of the show, like it was just great success. Got in the truck, went to the hotel like around the corner, and as soon as I got in the room, I just was like, first of all, I'm like, I need a drink right now. Second of all, I'm like, what a waste of time. We didn't accomplish anything. I did 6 promos. I can't tell you what I said. I can't tell you what the story is. Our angle now is going to be dead if it wasn't dead already. I don't even have words.
I will say this is one of the reasons why I left WWE in May of 17. And we went on tour with Fozzy, but there's a lot of people right after the Kevin Owens thing, like, why would you leave right now? The character's so hot. And to me, I was mentally exhausted, like you just said, because every week I had to do the same thing that you had to do. Go wait in front of his office, which takes forever. Maybe it's an hour, maybe it's 45 minutes. Go in there, then you got to put on a show for the boss and convince him why your idea is the right way to go. It burns you out, man.
Yeah,
The match is the easy part.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, I don't, I always get irritated by like the notion that comes from a lot of like former wrestlers, especially, or like Attitude Era type guys, that like, oh, the guys today, they're scared. They're scared to get fired. They're scared to stand up for themselves. They're scared to take risks. They're scared to go off script. They're scared to get fired. I've never been afraid of getting fired. I've never, not saying that like I'm so good or anything. I'm just saying I've never felt like me speaking up is gonna lead to me being fired. I've never had that fear. I always go in and give my opinion. My opinion of it is, okay, I'm gonna try to convince you that my idea is better. But if I can't convince you of that by showtime, you're the guy who writes my checks, and I'm not just gonna be a complainer. I'm gonna try to make the best out of this.
Right.
So
even if he doesn't go for your idea, then explain to me your idea. Let me comprehend what you want me to do.
Like, all right, if I can't convince you that I shouldn't be walking in the ring eating a Cuban sandwich, then screw it. I'm gonna go to the ring and I'm gonna make eating a Cuban sandwich look so cool. I'm gonna have mustard on my face and people are gonna be like, damn, he pulled that off better than anybody else could. And I think I proved that I could do that a lot over the years,
Okay, so before we talk about your signing with AEW and when and how you made that decision, let me say thank you to another sponsor who makes Talk is Jericho possible, and that's Arm & Hammer's new Cloud Control cat litter. The stuff is making life at my house so much easier. And most of you guys know that we have 3 cats, Mr. Mittens, Snickers, and Indy, so we always have litter boxes to clean. And we all do. We all have to clean them. It's on my kids' chore charts, and sometimes even my wife and I have to deal with the litter boxes. But thanks to Arm & Hammer's new Cloud Control litter, none of us are complaining about cleaning litter boxes, and that's because there's no cloud of nasties in your scoop. It's very simple. Arm & Hammer's Cloud Control litter is 100% dust-free, it's free of heavy perfumes, and it also helps reduce airborne dander from scooping, and that's why it's so awesome. So what happens in the litter box stays in the litter box. New Cloud Control cat litter by Arm & Hammer. More power to you. All right, let's get back to Moxley.
On the second story, right? This is the day that I knew 100% I was gone and there was no turning back. I actually almost walked out. Not really. I'm glad I didn't, because I could have ended up in some legal stuff, whatever, I mean, I knew I was gone in July, but I'm thinking, like, why rush it? It's only 8 more months or whatever, from like September to April. What's 8 months? And who knows, maybe everything will change. Maybe, who knows? So, this day, Monday Night Raw takes place in Milwaukee. I wake up in the morning and I get a text from writer, Ice Pick, my man, good guy, and it explained to me what I'm gonna do that day. And it says, so you have a backstage where you will be with your own personal doctor who will be injecting you with rabies shots and all kinds of inoculations, however he explained it, to inoculate yourself against the disgusting fans. And I replied, I fucking hate that. And he replied, yeah, I know. So I get to the building, and I'm like, you can imagine the mood I'm in when I get to the building. Now the word just from my response has already circulated that I might not be very excited about this. So Michael Hayes coming up to me, hey, how you doing, Dean? Are you not real excited about your promo? And I was like, no. What? I've been talking about this for months. So like, why am I always doing this goofy crap? This has been me and Vince butting heads on this since February. Like, we'll get to that later. But so they hand me this sheet, and it's just, it's as bad as you imagine, right? And then I remember I got herded into like some kind of sexual harassment meeting that we all had to do or whatever. So I'm just sitting in this meeting while they're talking, and I'm just staring at this promo and just seething. And I'm like, as soon as this meeting's over, I'm gonna bolt right to Vince's office, right? And so as soon as I get out of the door of the meeting, the writer's already in front of me, and he's like, "Hey, Vince wants to talk to you about this promo. He wants to make sure it's not comedy." So Vince anticipated that I was gonna come storming in there and go, "Why am I doing all this prop comedy all the time?" Because I've been having the same argument with him for like a year now. So anyway, I go into Vince's office. He's like, "Hey, pal." Anyway, so this promo, I want you to know this is not comedy. And he's got the promo in his hand, and he's like, and he's pointing at it, and he's like, this is such good stuff. It's so well written, and it's going to get you a ton of heat. That's exactly what he said. It's so well written, and it's gonna get you a ton of heat. And he's explaining it to me. You know, you'll get rabies, and of course distemper, which people don't know that it's for dogs. And he's laughing. And I'm like thinking like, what? How is this? But and I was like, I just feel I remember saying something like it's just more of this Carrot Top prop comedy. He's like, there's no props. And I'm like, then what is the actor we hired to play the doctor in the giant syringe? Is that not a prop? So. And I had the feeling in my head that like this was gonna be the last time I was gonna say this to him. And I've had to say this to him a bunch of times. I went, if this is what you want on your show, I am the best man for the job. Because like I always do, when you throw me these crazy curveballs, I pull this stuff off, if I can. So I'm gonna do what I always do, and I'm gonna give this my absolute best effort to make this good. If anybody can, it's me. And I kind of had a feeling like this is the last time I'm gonna have to say this to him, And he's like, I know you will. Get out of here, you scamp. Get to work. So we go do the thing. It's awful, I can't save it, And we were able to pre-tape that, and before the show, and it got greenlit by Vince. Everybody's high-fiving. Vince loved it. I'm like, great. So I was able to get out. I got a Southwest flight, and I was able to get out that night. I couldn't get out of that building any faster. I mean, earlier in the day, I'd been like thinking like I was like I gotta walk out. I remember having like a feeling of like dizziness, like a weird pit in my stomach feeling dizziness, and talking to some of my friends just like I can't work here. What is this? What are we doing? What like are they trying? Like it's so embarrassing, like actual dizziness. You know what I mean? Like I can't believe what's happening. So I'm like I bolt out of there. I go to the airport, and I was just like I just sat down at the bar at the airport and was just like. So depressed, just like because I was like that might be the thing, because I always kept waiting to like when would be the thing that I couldn't recover from, because you do have some stupid segment where everybody's like, what is that, ketchup and mustard, what is he doing, what is or whatever, but then I can recover. I was always able to recover. I remember sitting there thinking like that might be the one I just can't recover from, and remember what I was saying about the line in the previous promo the week or so before. This promo also had a line regarding my actual friend who's going through actual leukemia that Vince wanted me to say. That he tried to talk me into saying. This is where I absolutely drew the line. Like I was like, absolutely not. No, and he's actually tried to talk me into it a little bit, but I was like, absolutely not. And he's like, oh, if you feel uncomfortable, that's fine. I'm like, no. That's where I had to finally put my foot down.
Another cancer reference to Roman.
And it is the worst line. You cannot. I'm not going to say it on air. I'll tell you after we're done. But I'm not even going to say it on air. That's how bad it was. It would have been like a thing where like somebody would have had to get fired. Maybe me. They might have like lost sponsored, like the Susan G. Komen and all that. It would have been like, and I don't know who wrote it. I don't know if it was Vince himself, or if it was a writer, and you're listening right now, you should be ashamed of yourself. You wouldn't believe it, that, But if I'd have just said it, if I'd just been like, okay, and just read the script, I can't imagine, But I would have been, but it would have been on me, not on Vince, Anyway, so that's that day. So those are just two examples of a day in the life of me.
When did this start getting this way for you? You mentioned you were there for 8 years, but you said for 6 years. When we worked together in 2016, it wasn't like that. I mean, you were the lunatic fringe, a little bit nuts, but it wasn't like you were like this wacky. I mean, you did wacky stuff, Mitch the Potted Plant, all that ridiculous shit, but it wasn't like, giving yourself inoculations from the stinky people in Poughkeepsie.
I mean, at least when I was a baby face, I could still kind of be like lovable, and fans always stayed on my side, through all the crap, you know what I mean? They forgave me for some of the stupid crap I was forced to do. But even like when we were working together, that's what, during that period of time, I was starting to get really brain dead. We tried really hard to get cool stuff. We did some good stuff, but I was like getting brain dead at that point. Like starting to get like, because it's like they take wrestling away from you. Wrestling is my first love, my only love besides my wife. That my thing I'm most passionate about. I love it. I feel like now I got it back finally. Since I was a little kid. I was obsessed, just watching tapes, always thinking of promos. I want to watch all the wrestling. Just like I love pacing around my house, just thinking of promos. Waking up in the middle of the night because you just thought of a cool line, a way to tell a story of a match or whatever. Like, oh my god! And then I'm just pacing through the house, cutting promos of myself in the mirror. Promos used to be my favorite part of wrestling. I loved it. They ended up becoming my least favorite part, the part I dread. Because now it's not me coming up with ideas and coming up with a way to hook you into our story. It's me trying to not look like an idiot. Me trying to appease all these different people. You know, like sitting down with a writer while he's writing. Like, that is not how it's supposed to be. You know, it's like they never had any plans to make babyface. Never. Like, when the Shield broke up, I think they're gonna do a little feud with me and Seth, and then if I just petered out and went away, they were gonna find with that. They had no idea I was gonna get over. And I got over on my own. My vision, you know, I had the authority and stuff, and it was kind of perfect for me. And my vision for the character kind of was like, okay, I had no idea I'd be babyface. I had no idea. So my thought was like, okay, 90% John McClane from Valor. And then like 10%, whatever, Dusty Rhodes, whatever other people I'm inspired by, I don't know, Bret Hart, Big Japan Deathmatch guys, whatever, you know what I mean? But like, gets his ass kicked all the time, perseveres, walks through glass in bare feet, maybe throws a one-liner out there, which I'm capable of, which may have been one of my biggest mistakes, because once I showed them that I had even the shred of comedic timing, it was over. Now they're writing jokes for me. But it's like, I'll write my own jokes. If it's time for a joke, I'll know, you know? But, yeah, so it's like, what? So I got over on my own. Because I think people really felt that, like, I felt like I was fighting for my life those first few months as a babyface. And, like, everybody else is going to be pyro and all these crazy entrances. I'm just going to walk to the ring. No entrance, no gimmicks, I'm fighting. And I really felt like I was, like, fighting for my life. And I think that's why the people connected with me there. And then when they were like, whoa, we got over, and then I started selling a bunch of merchandise. And then they were like, now they have to get their hands on it and try to turn you into what they think you should be or whatever. And like, well, for whatever reason it is, me and Vince, like, my particular type of charisma, Vince just can't just let me be. He's got to, like, put a hat on me or put me in a goofy vehicle or something. You know, whatever reason, we're like Mentos and Diet Coke, man. Me and Vince together just create this explosion of goofy nonsense that I detest. You know, I mean, I tried my hardest, and I always tried to stay positive, and always tried to stay positive and be grateful for this opportunity that I have, and felt like I had a responsibility to all these fans too, and that I was put in this position of like a Make-A-Wish guy and all that. And that might sound corny and stupid if you've never been in that position, but it's real. And also just like trying to save money. trying to, the ultimate goal was to be where we're at now, you know? I mean, so to kind of go on a linear story of 2018 is like, so we started the year, I had surgery around Christmas from after said injury, and I was working hurt and just in a lot of pain and really miserable and just really no adrenaline before matches, just like couldn't wait to get out of the ring just because everything hurt. Everything was like, my arm was starting to just wither away. I couldn't do anything physically. I mean, and more injuries on top of that. I mean, I was just banged up. Like, so when I go home from surgery, I'm like, okay, I'm just checking out mentally from wrestling. I think I'm just burnout. You know, I'm just a little burnout. It's fine. I'm gonna heal this injury. I'm gonna come back better than ever. Maybe this is a blessing in disguise, right? Maybe this is just a break I need mentally. And, you know, you get away from the fans for a little while, you know, absence makes the heart grow fonder, and come back stronger than ever, right? So, end up having to move to Birmingham, do rehab. So, I'm waking up in the morning, going, you know, once I kind of got rehab where I can train and stuff, you know, rehabbing twice a day. Then I'm waking up in the morning, going for a run, going to my first rehab, go eat lunch or whatever, maybe hit the chiropractor, go back for a second rehab, then go hit the gym, lift weights, you know, then every single day, like just a machine, just trying to build myself into the best version of myself. Because I'm already thinking like, okay, if it's only going to be 8 more months, I don't want to give myself any reason lingering of like, maybe if I'd have just tried this, or I wanted to make sure I exhausted all my options with WWE and that I was totally sure that this is what I wanted to do, right? I didn't want to like go out with a whimper, you know what I mean? I was like, I'm going to give this my absolute best effort in every way. That's pitching ideas up in Vince's face 24/7, whatever it takes. You know what I mean? So I remember like around July, I think at this point all I could do was like the recumbent bike because my arm was still jacked up. So I went to town on that bike. I was getting there every day, putting on and just cranking on it. And I like to do, sometimes, we like to sit around the house and put on like concerts and just hang out and talk and watch concerts. And I like to do that sometimes, like if I'm doing like something like that, like I'd just be riding a bike, I'd put my phone up and put on like concerts, performances. Mm-hmm. I love watching performances of anybody who's awesome, any guy or girl who's awesome at what they do. Mm-hmm. Whether that's Freddie Mercury at Live Aid or Cody gave me a good one, the Killers from Royal Albert Hall, Woodstock 99, whatever it is you're into, And I remember watching like some concert and just watching just people just in their element, just playing their music the way they want to play it and just hitting on all cylinders and just connecting with the crowd on all cylinders and like maybe change a little lyric up, maybe say it in a little different way, just in the zone. You're a freaking rock star, right? Yeah. And I remember thinking like getting a little sad because I was like, I haven't felt that way in a long time. So I think that was where the seed was planted, because I'm just shackled in WWE. So once I get back from Birmingham, now I'm training, I'm getting ready to go, finally finishing up the healing process. Now I'm like, okay, now it's time to start dipping my toe back into wrestling. Check out the product a little bit, the current product, and I start just getting obsessed again. I haven't watched wrestling in months, and I'm watching new stuff, I'm watching old stuff, I'm watching stuff I liked when I was a kid, I'm watching stuff from Japan, I'm watching stuff from the Indies, I'm watching Impact, I'm watching Ring of Honor, I'm watching everything. I'm getting so excited, and I'm thinking of all these ideas, and I'm getting revved up. I'm ready to go. But then I started thinking I come up with ideas whoa, I could do this, I could come back and do this. But wouldn't it be a cool way to come back and do this? Or I could go back and do that. Oh, that'd be cool too. And every time I go, no, they wouldn't go for that. No, they wouldn't go for that either. No, they wouldn't go for that either. And then I started thinking, man, maybe they're sitting around in the writer's room right now discussing what they're going to do for my return, and it's like me coming back in an Oscar Mayer Wienermobile or something. And then I started getting anxiety and I started going, I'm so excited to come back to wrestling, but I'm not excited about coming back to WWE. I was picturing myself other places. I was picturing myself coming back to CZW. I was picturing myself in Japan. Anywhere but WWE, and then I'm but like I said, I was gonna ride this out to the end no matter what. So when it comes time to coming back, I took a page out of your book. I flew to Stanford to meet with Vince, and I had another meeting with him in February when they had a show in Vegas, and I went in and I was like, look, when I come back, we got a long time, to plan. I was I want to come back as a heel, as a totally different character. And I was explaining to him how I'm always telling him this, but I'm trying to really hammer the point home. I hate my own character. I hate looking at myself in the mirror. I hate everything I do. You give me this goofy stuff, I try my best to hit it out of the park. It works sometimes, but I'm this is an opportunity to evolve and change and grow. I want to be something different. At that point, I thought that I might be able to come back at WrestleMania, right about the 4-month mark. So that was the pitch, to come back, maybe you get Seth or whatever, and kind of re-debut at WrestleMania as a new character. It would be out a lot longer than that, But I'd already told them all this in February, so now I'm gonna double up on it, and I'm gonna fly to New York, as you told me to do, because you told me a long time ago you gotta pitch to Vince in person. And I'm I didn't want to go to a show where he's busy. I was and I thought that would go a long way to tell him how serious I am. Who flies themselves to New York? I bet nobody's done that probably since you did that last. So I have a meeting with him or whatever. We sit down and I go over the same stuff and I pitch all my ideas for coming back. I thought about maybe coming back on SmackDown and feuding with AJ and Daniel Bryan. Come back as a heel or come back and immediately, I don't know. I had a bunch of different ideas, open to talking, discuss, you know what I mean? But anything but what I've been doing for the last couple of years, And all it was, well, they had the Shield booked for this big show in Australia in October. And that's already advertised. So there's no way I'm going to be heel anytime before then. And basically it was like, I'm just coming back as Seth's partner, and we're just gonna do, which I love, tagging with Seth, you know, great matches. But
More of the same.
yeah, I'm like, this is the same. Basically, their idea for me coming back was exactly what everybody expected. No shock, nothing different, just good old Lunatic Fringe. Again, like, that's it. And I remember leaving like real deflated. Like, that's all we're gonna do? Like, and I at least got him to like, I was like, they wanted me to come back the week before SummerSlam. And then just let SummerSlam be in Seth's corner. And I'm like, at least let me come back at SummerSlam, make a big impact or whatever. I don't know if that's the right idea or not. And they're like, okay, you can go back to SummerSlam. So I leave, I'm like deflated. You know, I'm in Ohio training with, I flew out Joey Mercury and was at my original trainer, Cody Hawk's gym. You know, we're doing some training, I'm getting ready, I'm trying to like go back to just like old school physical wrestling, the way I started, you know, no hitting the ropes, you know, just real meat potatoes, beating people up wrestling, you know. Training my ass off to get back in the ring. You know, we're at dinner that night, I'm sitting there with those two guys, and he gives me a text from Koski. I actually want to bring you back to TV this week, and you're just gonna come out and you're just in Seth's corner. So it's exactly what they originally told me. They pretended like they were gonna go with my idea, but they didn't. And I remember just being like, I was like, I'm not even back yet, and I'm already pissed off. And I'm like, and their idea didn't even have any physicality. And I just remember showing the text to Joey and Cody and being like, look at this. Is this a good return to you? I've been out for 9 months. They don't even walk out and just like,
Hey guys.
that's it. Like, but that's what we did. I at least got him to have some physicality in there. Here's another example. This is not a big deal. This is not a big deal at all. It's a tiny little example though about how they just screw everything up. So you know you're on the shelf for 9 months. You know something that keeps you going. You're imagining like your pop. That like unexpected music hits. Place goes nuts. We haven't seen him in a long time. You know, you're waiting for that. You can't wait for it, right? So they have this promo segs going on, and I didn't realize that the way they wrote this. I'm waiting there, waiting to sit behind the curtain, waiting to I'm waiting for that pop. I'm like, okay, this is all gonna be worth it. 9 months, it's all gonna be worth this pop, man. And the way it's written, Seth goes, it's not his fault. He was just reading the line. If you're gonna have a Scottish psychopath in your corner, I'm gonna have a lunatic in mine. So like, kind of the crowd went like, oh, he's so like it muddled the pop into like 4 different reactions because people were listening and then some people were popping and then by the time I came out they were going nuts. But like, it's a small example of like, they ruined everything. How do you screw that up? Hit the button, play the music, but it's like they have to get their hands in it. They have to like justify their jobs or something. Like it's a great example of like overproducing everything.
Yes.
How do you screw that up, Unbelievable.
Yeah, and I know you're ready to tell us your second story. It's even crazier than the first. But before you do, I got a little sidebar here. I want to talk about the only thing that might be more annoying than Kenny Omega not thanking me on behalf of AEW or Matt Jackson or Nick Jackson or Jon Moxley or Tony Khan or anybody else. No one's thanked me after my big win Saturday night at Double or Nothing. And the only thing more annoying than that is the flies, mosquitoes, and insects that buzz around my backyard and sometimes in my house during the summer. So while I sit here waiting for that thank you from Kenny Omega, I'm going to provide a thank you of my own, and that's to the new sponsor of Talk is Jericho, Dynatrap. Dynatrap is the leading manufacturer of outdoor mosquito and insect traps, and now they've come up with a solution for indoor pests, the Dynatrap Flylight. I've got these set up in my house now. I'll tell you what, the Dynatrap Flylight works day and night to attract and trap flies, fruit flies, mosquitoes, other pesky insects, and it really works, especially outside as well. I just moved to a new place. It's right on the lake. There's a lot of mosquitoes that show up around 6 o'clock at night, and I've really noticed a lessening of their pests and their annoyance since I set up the Dynatrap Flylight. And I'll tell you something else too. We're in and out of the house all summer long, and no matter how hard we try to shut the door as quickly as possible when we're coming and going, the door always ends up open. It's inevitable with 3 dogs and 4 dogs and 3 kids and all the other stuff we got going on in my house. Sometimes those flies and mosquitoes just sneak in, but thanks to the Dynatrap Flylight, they don't last long in my house. This thing really works. It looks like a night light. It looks like a night light, and it plugs into any indoor outlet, We've had one plugged into the wall next to one of the doors that leads to our backyard, one out by the barbecue, and I can't believe how many insects it's already caught. It's ridiculous. If you want to keep your home free of pesky flies, mosquitoes, other insects, get yourself a Dynatrap fly light. Order it today at Dynatrap.com. That's DYNATRAP.com. And use the promo code Jericho to get 15% off any of their products. That's Dynatrap.com. Use the promo code Jericho to save 15% on any of their products. Dynatrap is the safe, silent, and simple solution to household insect control. Go check them out now, Dynatrap.com. Use the promo code Jericho and get rid of them pests that are buzzing around your head. When you were, even before the existence of AEW, or you even knowing about it, what was your plan to like you said, you wanted to finish up and go? You mentioned CZW in Japan. Was that kind of what you were thinking about doing before you knew about AEW?
Yeah, for sure. Like, I mean, people are gonna really get into this. Everybody wants the Monday Night Wars back, and everybody's gonna want to have this big Monday Night War between AEW and WWE. My leaving WWE exists outside of that. Whether AEW exists or not, I was still leaving WWE. Whether it was good to know the wrestling business was doing so well outside of WWE, but even if it wasn't, I still would have left. If there was no other promotions to work for in the world, I still would have left WWE. If there were no other wrestlers, I would have just started my own promotion, started my own training school, and trained my own opponents. I would have reseeded the wrestling business from scratch if I had to. But the timing of it is just so crazy. Like this, me and Cody keep going back and forth, and you two just serendipity. Whoa, all these little things, just so serendipitous. It's just, and I love. I mean, obviously that was the instant rumor. Like as soon as it came out, oh, he's going to AEW. But people don't know anything, you know.
Other ones were saying that you're making a movie and that you're retiring and that you're gonna go.
Yeah, I saw every possible rumor. I get a text every day for like a screenshot or a link or whatever. Is this true? Is this true? Is this true? Every single, and I guess silence drives people nuts. And I've just been silent. People hate silence. They have to know. And the people that are supposed to know, they have to say something. You know, like, so they keep saying that there's new contracts coming. I know I'm not gonna sign it, but I'm like, okay, it's coming next week. We just gotta get through Saudi, and then a new contract's coming. You know, I'm like, okay. And I'm waiting for it because I'm relishing the opportunity for them to go, here's your new contract, and me to go, not interested. I'm like waiting for it. I'm excited about it because I don't know how they're gonna react. It eventually just doesn't come. And then it's like Royal Rumble weekend, and I'm thinking like, I know I'm supposed to work with Seth on the Monday. And Carano's like, it's coming Monday. You know, Hunter wants to give it to you personally. And I just like couldn't hold it in anymore. We were at like some access or something. I just couldn't hold it in anymore. I was like, dude, look, in 114 days or whatever it was. And he's like, no, before you say anything, hold on. And I was like, I am gone. And he's like, no. And then I was like, here's what, like I said, this is not, and this is what I told Vince too, and Hunter. So this is not a decision I came to fast or lightly. This has been a long time coming. I'm not going to change my mind. This is not about any one particular thing. This is not an emotional decision. This is happening. I'm leaving, and it's okay, you know? And he's like, you know. And he's like, well, you want me to tell them? I'm like, I do whatever information. I'm going to talk to Vince on Monday. I'm sure you're going to. Because I'm trying not to ruffle any feathers, you know, Royal Rumble weekend. I didn't tell anyone. I didn't tell Seth because I knew he was going over in the Rumble, and I didn't want to put any weird mojo on him, you know. So I'm just like, look, just tell Vince whatever, you know, if you want, whatever. I'll talk to him Monday. I can tell him after the show, before the show. We can talk next week. No rush. I'm here for another 90 days or whatever it is. You know, I'm just putting it out there so you all know before you start advertising for Europe tours and your Mania plans and all that. It seems like a time where you need to know Royal Rumble weekend that like who you got going forward and who you don't, you know. I'm trying not to make any trouble. So we get to Raw the next day. And I'm also secretly hoping that I'll just work with Seth, he'll curb stomp me into oblivion, and I'll get to go home. Because I'm thinking there's no way they're going to keep me on TV.
It's like February or something, or
this is January.
January, right.
There's no way they're going to keep me on TV if they know I'm going to be gone in 3 months, right? Or they could try to bury me or whatever, but, you know, but I don't know, we'll see what happens. So I'm thinking, so it's in Phoenix, early show, again, 5 o'clock, so the meeting's going on early. So I'm like, I'm waiting for the meeting to get over so that I'll talk to Vince and be like, hey, you want to talk now, after, whatever, no rush. Not telling anybody. And working with Seth, whatever. About an hour before the show, producer comes on to me. He's like, there's been some additions. I'm like, what? And he's like, yeah, so anyway, you stay out there after the commercial break. Naya's music hits. She comes out, yada, yada, you take a bump for her. I'm like, are you serious? And Johnny comes around. Oh, we've got some additions. Vince said he's in his office, whatever, Naya comes out, take the bump. He says you can go talk to him if you're uncomfortable with that. I said, yes, let's talk, because now I'm getting hot.
Yeah.
And it's not because I'm totally cool taking a bump with Naya, for Naya. I did it. It's 2019. She's a very powerful woman. She did great in the Royal Rumble the night before. If this existed outside of me leaving, that's a totally different conversation. But I knew, because here's the thing, the production meeting whittles down as it goes along.
Yeah.
They get rid of some people, then they get rid of the writers, and then, so an hour before the show, it's down to the super secret meeting, where it's only like Vince and Hunter and maybe like Koski.
Yeah.
Those are the only people that knew I was leaving. So it was like, once it gets down to the super secret meeting, where only the people know I was leaving, that's when this mysterious new addition comes in. And it really felt like just a middle finger. So like my skin was hot, and I was like, let's go talk to Vince. So I go like storming toward the production meeting room. Johnny's like following me behind, like trying to, papers flailing everywhere. And I come storming into that, and I come storming right up the middle of like the production meeting room, and he just gets up, and he's grabbing his stuff. He's like, oh, my office, I'm like, yes, let's go to your office. So we sit down in his office, and he starts baby facing me, and he's like, oh, I understand you gave me notice, and, thank you so much for everything. And I'm like, I guess we're doing this now. And, so, we have our talk or whatever. By this point, he's tried to justify it in his mind. Because Carano says something. I told Carano, like, yeah, I think the day I knew I was gone was that day I got the shot. So I think he told Vince that, because Vince goes, yeah, I heard you were unhappy with something about the shot thing we did. I wish you'd have told me.
Yeah.
I didn't know you had all these problems. And I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, why the was I in your office then? I went storming in there and said, what the hell is this? Like I do all the time. How do you not know? Of course you know. But he's got to, he's got to make everything okay in his mind. I didn't know. I had no idea. And I'm like, you knew. Like, you've known for a long time. So, but I'm still trying to babyface him, and be as nice as possible, show him my gratitude. You know what I mean? It got a little emotional, you know what I mean? And on both sides. And but I took the opportunity to say everything I wanted to say. Because I had been having this conversation in my head for months. So I was like, I'm getting everything off my chest. And I told him, I was like, every Monday, I get a physical sick feeling in my stomach. And it happens every Monday, on the dot. A writer will come up to me, hey Dean, we got you for 6-6, whatever, and he's got a script in his hand. And I don't know what kind of goofy nonsense, what kind of embarrassing stuff is on that script, and what kind of challenges we'll lay ahead to try to just not look like an idiot today. And like I get a physical sick feeling in my stomach. And he's like, I can't, who's trying to know? And I'm like, I can't live like that. I can't live in a world where I'm in like Paducah, Kentucky on a Friday working a house show, and there's some writers who I don't even know writing words for me in some office.
Yeah.
That, you know what I mean? I can't do it. But I'm trying to be as, just like, yeah, I just need to get away for a while, just because I'm hoping that he just writes me off TV that night. And he goes, oh, he's like, yeah, and we'll just finish up at Mania, and whatever. He's like, hey, we're not going to bury you on the way out or anything like that. And I went, actually, it's funny you mentioned that, because that's the reason I stormed in here. Because it looks to me like that's exactly what the fuck you're doing. And he goes, oh, no. And he proceeds to tell me this whole idea he's got for me and Naya. And all I hear is like, we're burying the fuck out of you, blah, 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 we're burying the fuck out of you. It's an attraction. And I was like, okay. I looked at Johnny, I'm like, okay. All right, so I'm like, let's do it, And we actually had a good time. It was like fun. We were doing the rehearsal. We were just trying not to laugh. I was like saying funny things to her, whatever. It was over. They were like, let them fight. I'm like, okay, it was cool, whatever.
But you guys were actually even supposed to do some house shows and stuff like that too.
I don't know what all they had planned. Oh, and also that night, because I worked with Seth before that, and there was a promo before with me and Seth and Triple H. It was live TV. I don't know what might happen, because I just told him I'm leaving, and now there's all this AEW stuff happening too. You know what I mean? I'm like, that has nothing to do with it, but I'm like, I don't know what
But now the cat's out of the
They're-
bag about
they're-
AEW.
Yeah, no, only Hunter and Vince me knew, and but I don't know what I'm going into with this live promo, right? Because I'm like, not that I don't trust Triple H or think he would do something, whatever, but they are ruthless businessmen, and they don't care. So I don't know what I'm going in for. So I go out there, and I'm like, as long as my mic is live, I'm good. So I got bullets in the chamber. And it's kind of like a half-shoot kind of promo anyway, you know what I mean? And you have a little bit of room with Triple H to like wiggle and play around a little bit. But I got bullets in the chamber. This can get as awkward as you guys want to get. I'm ready. But nothing bad happened. You know, it all went great, whatever. So
The fact that you recognize that, like you said, it's a very like ruthless businessman type of thing. Because they actually, like you mentioned, they said they're going to finish up at Mania. You didn't. You pretty much went down to the wire. But I mean, they were pushing you all the way up to the end. The final thing with the Shield. I mean, they didn't try and bury you on the way out at all, as far as I can recall.
well, it's open to interpretation. So after that, like, it might have been the next day after that thing with Nia. Now the rumors leak out. And now everybody knows. Now my phone doesn't stop ringing for 48 hours. Everybody's like, is this work? What's going on? Whatever. So now they put out this weird press release.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
It was so bizarre. People are like, what is this press release? And I was like, that's awesome. It's never been done before. All that ever happens is the future endeavor.
Yeah, because the press was basically said, you know, that Ambrose's contract, he's not resigning and he'll be leaving at the end of April, and we wish him luck and hope he comes back. But they've never trumpeted that before.
It's unprecedented.
Yeah.
It was like a glowing review.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, all right, cool. Like, I don't know. I'm not saying anything. What I think happened is they just felt like they're getting backlash or whatever. Like, I don't know the motivation behind that press release, but that's why a lot of people thought it would work.
Well, yeah, because maybe because they wanted to have the jump on it because they knew rumors would get around or something like that.
Exactly, because they want to control the narrative.
Yeah.
There's the thing that Vince hated about this whole situation, why it was so bizarre and there's so many ups and downs, because he has no control. Because I told him, I don't care how many zeros you want to put on a piece of paper, I am gone. And he's got the $1 Million Man complex. He has to be able to buy he's got to be able, that's why he pays Brock billions of dollars to come in and run his company. Because he wants to own Brock. He wants to be like, Brock's my attraction, you know? And a guy he has no power over, me, he didn't know how to handle it. So it was like, it went in a bunch of weird, crazy directions over 5 months.
Did they ever eventually give you the new deal, and what did you do when they did?
I never looked at it.
So they literally gave you a contract in an envelope or whatever. You just took it and gave it right back.
I didn't look at it, no. I didn't want to.
But that shows how, and like I said, I can empathize with you because I went through the same thing when I left WCW. You can offer me $1 million, I'm not taking it, because it's not about the money anymore. It's about literally, like you mentioned, killing my love for this business. It's all I've ever wanted to do, and now I don't want to do it anymore. And Eddie felt the same, and Benoit felt the same, and Malenko felt the same. It was killing your will to be a part of this business at all.
Dude, yeah, I mean, I remember thinking, cramp on my leg. I remember thinking at one point earlier on in the, thinking about decision, what if they offer me $10 million?
Right.
What if like a Brock contract?
Right.
Like, just what if they offer me just $10 million? What am I going to do with $10 million? I have, my truck is paid off, my house is paid off, my mother's house is paid off. I got everything I need. What am I going to do with $10 million? Am I going to go buy a Maserati? You know, I don't live like that, you know? So I'm like, there's literally no number they could put on a piece of paper that would get me to stay. It's almost like over the years, like a physical depression sets in. Because they take away the thing that you love. Like, you know, like I was saying, you're being obsessed with wrestling 24/7. It's like they take it away from you. They go, like, oh, don't worry about coming up with your own promos because we have a writer. Don't worry about coming up with cool things to do in your matches because we have producers who will tell you exactly what to do in your matches. Don't bother thinking of storylines because we've already written them for you.
Don't be an artist to be creative.
It's kind of like, hey, don't worry. We've taken care of everything. You just show up. So you go, oh, okay. So what do I do in my off time? What do I have to think about? So you try to fill it with other things. And, like, that's a recipe for a very unhappy person, a very unfulfilled existence. And, like, I think just, like, a depression set in at some point, like, not to, minimize anybody who actually goes through, like, real... I remember, like WebMD in it. Because, I mean, there were days, like, TV days where I'd, like, be in bed and, like, wake up and just, like, stare at the ceiling. and like couldn't get out of bed. Like no motivation to go work out, no motivation to like
Depression.
just dreading having this moment with the writer that I'm gonna have that I described to Vince. You know, I mean, it's crazy. Like the fog that has lifted, like slowly since like it kind of became real that like, oh, I am leaving. It's all good. To now, like the past month, I mean, I'm like literally an entirely different person. It's crazy.
They call it Stockholm syndrome. But like when people are in prison, they end up, falling in love with their captors and can't envision not being in prison and not being told what to do by the warden, for example. And I'm not saying it's the same thing in WWE, but when you're in that system, you don't realize what it's like in the outside world. And when you get on the outside world, it's like, I can't believe it's this easy. I can't believe this is really how it can be, not in that world.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. Like looking back on it now, I'm like, I can't believe I hung in there that long. Like, yeah, and it's a shame to think of like I don't ever want to be one of those like I could have been a contender guys, like who sit and bitch about the past, what should have been. I should have been on top. I got screwed by Hogan, or you know what I mean?
Right.
Well, I do think there was a lot of stuff they missed out on with me. I don't care. It's over. I don't think it was meant to happen. I think I was meant to be sitting here today talking to you because the ultimate goal or the ultimate reward I got from WWE was that now I'm sitting here with all of my freedom and I got to go do that. And it's like, it's the ultimate gift because like, it's almost like now I get to start over. It's like I'm 18 again. I can be anything I want to be. I can, as a wrestler, as a performer, as an artist, I can do anything. And now I have like experience and stuff that I can. I'm starting ahead of the game now. You know.
You can actually, we discussed this before, make a difference. You or I going back there, or you staying. It's the WWE. It's not going anywhere. It's the machine. It is what it is. We have a chance to actually change things in the business with AEW and be a big part of this new history.
Oh, it's very, dude. It's very exciting. Like to be able to be a difference maker is such a. I haven't had that, and I can't remember. Like, one thing that I want to do is because like, if I have something to prove, it's that I want to prove that your creative process, the WWE's creative process, sucks. It does not work. It's absolutely terrible. And I've said that to Vince. I've said that to Hunter. I've said that to Michael. Hey, I think that whatever, I can't even tell you how their system works. It's some kind of system of meetings that take place in Stamford, and there's a home team, there's writers and producers and production meetings, and nobody knows what's approved and what's not, and like the bureaucratic red tape you have to go through to get anything approved.
Yeah.
And it's crazy. It doesn't work. It's killing the company, I think. And I think Vince is the problem. And not so much Vince, but Vince and whatever the structure that he built around himself, probably starting in I'd imagine 2002, after the sale of WCW.
Right.
And he started building this infrastructure around himself, this team of writers and whatever, and producers, and however he does it, and this is how WWE is, and this is what the product is. The product sucks. Great talent, amazing talent. None of this is their fault, So I'm hoping if I had a goal with AEW that we could prove that Vince is what sucks. I mean, this is not what I'm going to focus on, because it's not about competing with the league. I don't think it has any of our...
Yeah. It's alternatives.
Any of our mission. We're just going to be over here doing our best, putting on our best product. And if a byproduct of that is it pushes WWE to reevaluate their creative process, and it makes Vince probably he's going to step aside, we don't know he's going to die in the chair. But maybe he'll listen to somebody else's ideas. Maybe he'll be open and do it in a different way.
Maybe they won't micromanage everything so much. I think that's the biggest problem.
I've never been micromanaged more than I was in the last 4 months. Once I turned heel. It was so weird.
That press release that WWE put out about you leaving the company was so weird. I've never seen them do anything like that before, and I want to talk about that. But first, Father's Day is about 10 days away, and I'll tell you what I'd be asking for if I didn't already have one. I'm talking about a Quip toothbrush. I'm serious. A great gift for any dad or grad on your list. And what's better than the gift of healthy and good oral hygiene? Nothing better than a pretty smile, especially when it's as cool and easy as the new Quip electric toothbrush. Now, you guys know by now I got a blue Quip toothbrush. It goes everywhere I go. Still in Las Vegas after Double or Nothing. It came with me here. It was on Fozzie's spring tour a few weeks ago, and it's going to be on the Unleashed in the West tour that Fozzie's doing in September. The Quip electric toothbrush is amazing. It's got a built-in 2-minute timer that pulses every 30 seconds to tell you it's time to switch sides and help you clean your whole mouth evenly. It's got this cool cover that works as a stand and as a protective cover as well, so you can travel easily with your Quip. It also sticks to mirrors, so you don't lose it on the go. You just stick it to the mirror of whatever bathroom you're in for easy access and a quick reminder to grab it when you pack. The Quip runs for about 3 months on a single charge, which means no bulky charger to lug around with you or to clutter up your bathroom counter at home. And check this out, the best part, new brush heads are automatically delivered every 3 months for just $5. And that's why I love Quip, why my family loves Quip, and why over 1 million happy, healthy mouths do as well. Quip starts at just $25. And if you go to getquip.com/Jericho now, you can get your first refill pack for free. That's getquip.com/Jericho. Order today at getquip.com/Jericho and go have the best smile and looking white teeth and looking pretty and feeling good. All right, Talk is Jericho, also sponsored in part by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. I'm not going very far. I'm in a rush. It's too uncomfortable. Sometimes I just forget. Don't kid yourself. There's no such thing as a good excuse for not buckling up. If you've used any of those excuses or any others, you're putting yourself at risk of injury or death. In 2017, check this out, more than 10,000 people were unbuckled when they were killed in car crashes. That's 51% of people killed in motor vehicle crashes, and they were not wearing seatbelts. No matter what kind of vehicle you drive, wearing your seatbelt is the best defense in a crash. Even when you sit in the back seat, you still need to buckle up. And that goes for when you ride in taxis and when you use ride-sharing services as well, for whatever it may be. If you got a car, a limousine, you got to put that seatbelt on. Cops are on the lookout and writing tickets, so why take the risk? In 2017 alone, seatbelts saved nearly 15,000 lives. Think about that. Do the smart thing and buckle up every trip, day or night. Click it or take it.
Did you feel at any point, besides the few times that you mentioned with the Nia Jackson, that they tried to bury you in any other way?
Well, so after that, they do the weird press release. Then they put me against EC3, debuting from NXT. Great talent, great friend of mine. Excited to work with him. They have EC3 come in as babyface, defeat me in 2 minutes. I don't know if this is before or after the press release. It's at the same time. The crowd does not like this because it's transparent what's happening.
Right. It's obvious.
And this is not good for EC3 because now he's going to get the backlash. So it was an unfair position for him to be put in. So then we get to that weekend. I'm working with EC3 on house shows. Now I'm the biggest babyface on the show. I'm a heel. I'm thumbing him in the eye. I'm making fun of the town. Doesn't matter.
You're the bigger name and you're the underdog.
They're violently rejecting him as a babyface and cheering the hell out of me because now it's like it has nothing to do with him. It's like an anti-WWE.
Yeah, you're a martyr. Yeah.
Yeah. So then they go talking to the writer with text, and he's like, "You're gonna work with EC3 again. He beats you in 2 minutes again." And I was like, I couldn't help it. I was like, I was like, fine, that's cool. Am I the only one who sees the inherent problem in this? And even the writer knew. He's like, oh, that it's making you a babyface, or that it looks like we're burying you, and that it's backfiring. And I'm like, yep, that stuff. That's what I was talking about. He's like, yep, I know. But it's Vince. He's determined. So by the time we get to that Monday, from what I understand, the reports from the house shows, the producers are telling him what's happened, and he's pissed. Apparently he's mad about this. That God forbid, so sorry that the fans who have busted my ass for years might be upset at the fact that you want to bury me on my way out. Sorry, dude,
Yeah.
That I've given my body up for, Sorry that they have a shred of respect for me that you apparently don't have. So then I get to the TV and they're just like, Jamie was a producer, he just comes up to me, he goes, you're gonna do a little promo. Seth, he's a heel, you're a babyface. We just switched roles, no explanation. So I guess that was their solution. And then the Shield comes back, and then we do that whole thing, and then I start working a series of matches with Drew McIntyre, who we've had a bunch of great matches, but now it's increasingly
Less time.
more DQ matches and more. And every week I think this is where they finally write me off. So they put me through tables. They put my head in a guardrail, smash my head off. He's kicking my head off every week. Now it's like a different gimmick match every week. So it's like they tried to kill me figuratively twice, and it backfired. So now they're just gonna kill me literally. And you know, I was like, okay, and just kept, you know. And it was crazy because I'm like a few weeks before Mania, and I'm in a main event of Raw, and I'm like, this is impossibly somehow I'm in the main event of Raw. I thought for sure they were gonna just take me off TV, but he has to be in control, and somehow he had to exert whatever control over me he could. You know?
How big was it for the Shield to kind of be disbanded and be done? Because the Shield, I think, if you look at probably one of the biggest factions with DX, top 2, top 3 of all time, and to me that was a huge thing from a business, kind of a sideline business thing, where not only are we losing Ambrose, but we're losing the Shield as well.
Yeah, I mean, yes, that, you know how much I got paid for the last show I did.
This is the Shield special.
This is a house show.
Hello, Renee.
It's a house show.
Hi. The Shield special, the live on the network.
This is literally, they turned this into a special. Flew in writers and cameramen and everything, put it on the network, basically for me.
Right.
$500. Got paid $500 for that sucker. I could just imagine Vince and like Carano and them at the, what are we gonna pay you? $500. Screw him.
Yeah.
Which is like, that's the minimum. That's what you get to just show up.
That's what you get if you're like an opening match guy from NXT. You know, not building a whole special around you.
Yeah, if you show up to TV and they don't use you, you get $500. Or like, I think that's like what extras get.
Yeah,
that's like the minimum. $500 for the network special. Come on.
Remember we headlined?
I thought about calling him for a second, but I was like, nah, it's funnier to just.
Do you remember when we headlined Asheville? It was the Asheville street fight, Jericho versus Ambrose, and they paid us $750.
Yeah, and you said, I don't get off my couch for $750.
Yeah, I told Vince, I said, next time can I set up a table, sell some gimmicks in the back of the room like Virgil? Right. But I mean, and you know what that is. That's just one last little kind of F you, Ambrose. Here's your $500.
Yeah,
See you later.
I actually like it. I should frame that check.
Yeah, don't spend it for sure.
Yeah, so.
A few other things as we start to wind down here. When you started really embracing the concept of AEW, and now you've made your first appearance, and I mean, I think that like we talk about the happenstance, the serendipity, and all that sort of stuff. But what is your goal for coming to AEW? Because you're very driven, you're very creative, and you seem like you feel you have something to prove. I'm picking that up from what we've been saying the last hour or so.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's about being the best version of myself finally, and being able, having the creative freedom to just like, come up with an idea and just do it. Well, we're gonna have that here in AEW, and from the first time I talked to them, they're just like, I've always been friends with Cody, always vibe with him. Cody's kind of like me, that like, first and foremost, with wrestling fans. Like when he was like Stardust and stuff, and he'd be painting up, he'd be in the locker room, he'd have his little iPad, and he'd put on WWE Network and just put on
matches.
Put on like old WCW or like whatever,
War Games '89 or something.
And like we always just, me and him would always just sit there and watch all this wrestling and talk about it, because we just like we love wrestling, and just he has a very, we think of wrestling in a very, very similar way, and just everything he said from the get-go was like, yo, play your music your way, and he went through a lot of the same stuff, during his exit from WWE, when I was telling him about, he's like, I went through the same thing, it was like the kind of depression that you go through where you're like this, where you're trapped in something you don't want to be, like where we share that experience. And just, I feel like me and him are kind of two sides of the same coin in a lot of ways. We've been through a lot of the same experiences, but we went through them at different times in a different order. And I like the wrestling can be anything. He says it can be anything. You can have the lucha guys, you can have the hardcore match, you can have the old school. And I'm like, for so long I've been told wrestling is this. This is all wrestling is. That I'm like, I can't wait to just like open up my mind. And like I said, I'm almost like, my goal is like, not look at it like I got something to prove to Vince or WWE or anything like that, because I don't give a shit about WWE. They're in the past. I want them to be good. I want, like I said, if a byproduct of us being good is they have to change their creative process and they get better, because I want my friends that are there to be happy. My wife's there. I want her to be happy. I want the business to be better. I want the fans to be happier with their products. But I don't care about them. They're in the past. They're in the back burner. I want to be the best version of myself. You know, I mean, this past month I've been home. You know, I only get like a month, only got a month home to just like rest and recharge. And so I mean, I've just been chiropractor, massage, training twice a day. You know, getting everything fixed. You know, I got hooked up with a new trainer, Gil Gardado here, who's actually Randy Couture's strength and conditioning coach. And just, I was like, yo, let's just start. I want to just start over, build a foundation from the get-go as an athlete. So working on like agility and strength and power, and you know, hopefully a year from now, I'm just like a fully new athlete. You know, this is like the whole world is my oyster now. I can do anything, be anything. You know, like
You're inspired again.
yeah, and like, you know, some people might, you know, want to put you in that little hole of what they think you are, and you can't be anything but that. But I'm like, I could do anything, you know. And there's a bunch of bucket list stuff I'm gonna do by the end of the year that is gonna be cool. That's gonna be challenging. I'm gonna put myself in uncomfortable, unfamiliar situations and try to just rise to the occasion. And I'm gonna, you know, now there's like new styles to learn. There's new opponents to work with.
Yeah.
They're just like it's all just I can't wait, you know? Like you could argue that I should have just taken a year off and just healed my body and just rested and everything like that. But I'm like, physically, I feel pretty good. You know, I'm doing the best I can with a month before I really step on the gas pedal. But mentally, I cannot wait to get started. I'm like chomping at the bit.
And timing is everything. It just so happened that Double or Nothing takes place a month after your deal is up.
Dude, the first time I heard that, when you were like,
Yeah.
I was like, man, you know, telling me all this stuff about, you know, play your music your way and everything. I'm like, that's amazing. Like, I want to be a part of this, 100%. Like, let's go. I'm with you. Let's take the world on. Like, let's make history. And like, and just that it was in Vegas. It was just like,
Right.
they're so like,
Once again, this
it was just so crazy. Like the universe was just, because I didn't have to necessarily go to AEW. You know what I
Right,
mean, there's
no.
a bunch of other options. You know, I got a lot of people at the table. You know what I mean? I could just, you know, and it was a little scary to sign a contract with, you know, like a corporation. A little, because I'm like, I just got done with that. But like, but it's totally different though. It's like I love this, like, for the boys, by the boys. You know
What
what,
did
I
you
mean?
think of Tony Khan when you met him?
This is what you said. He's the exact opposite of Vince.
Right.
But I liked him. The thing I like about him, man, is that he's a wrestling fan. He can sit here and talk to you about ECW pay-per-views from '98,
Everything.
and just talking to him is like,
There's passion there.
yeah, he's more of a wrestling fan than Vince is. Vince loves sports entertainment. He loves promoting, and you know what I mean. 24/7 workhorse. But like Tony's just like a fan who loves wrestling, and it's just like so fun to talk to anybody about.
I think the thing about Vince too is I kind of feel bad for him sometimes, because think about this, he can't take a break. Does he still have the passion for wrestling? Could you still have the passion for wrestling when all you do is deal with wrestling for 40 years, every day? Like, I wonder if what could ignite that for him again, if it's even possible to do that. And you know, the passion that
Oh
Tony
no!
has.
I'll put a challenge out to him right now. Your creative process sucks. Change it.
The facial expression of that was great. Speaking of which, though, we're laughing about this. I always love the fact that it's at Dean Ambrose was your Twitter, and the description
Ooh, I'm
was,
very excited to tell this story.
The description was, they made me get one of these, so here it is. Enjoy. And you never followed anybody, and you never posted one freaking tweet.
Until the day I became king of all social media.
That's right. One tweet.
Mic drop bitches.
One tweet,
Yeah.
3 million views or whatever it is at this
I
point.
gotta tell this story,
Please
especially because I got to shout out to my boy. So
Yeah.
I had the idea back before anybody knew I was leaving, January. Then I was like, okay, how's this gonna look? You know. So I'm like, obviously, you know, the world's different now. You gotta use social media. You know, I'm not stupid. You know, just because I don't want to, you know, get on there and communicate with people and read comments doesn't mean that I'm not an idiot. I know that like social media is the way of the world now, right? So I'm like, okay, what do I do? You know, what am I gonna show? So I'm like, okay. My idea was, I'm a big fan of like movie trailers, right? Kind of the inspiration for this was like Venom teaser trailer when I first saw it. You didn't see the whole trailers. You didn't see them. And it knew that come out for 8 months, but it gave you just enough to where you're like, oh, I can't wait till that movie comes out.
Yeah.
We have to wait so long. At that point, I kind of knew likely Double or Nothing was going to be the first appearance, you know, and I've had to go to great lengths to make sure I'm not like advertised or anything for anything before that. I've been keeping people at bay and having to tell people to F off, so I apologize to everybody I'm doing that to.
There's a reason.
Yeah, so I'm like, okay, my idea was like to make a movie trailer kind of thing, like a teaser trailer, from just promoting myself, and drop it exactly midnight on April 30th. Like, so it's like literally the minute that I get out of WWE, it's like, oh, it's about to get real. It's on. So people get excited.
It's John Moxley.
So
now, too.
yeah. So I'm like, I wonder how I do that. Like, really, and it became more ambitious than I originally had envisioned it, right? So like, I don't really know how to. I'm not a technology savvy guy. I don't really know how to do all that. But I know the people that I do know how to do all that stuff. They're all in WWE, right? And I'm like, this is a secret. So I'm like, huh. And I'm like, screw thinking about it. I'm just gonna do it, right? So I hit up my friend, who wrestling fans may know as one Sick Nick Mondo. He's actually something of a deathmatch legend, right? And now he's a filmmaker in LA. I met him in Japan. He was a very interesting guy. He was living in Japan, learning how to be a filmmaker. And we kept in touch. He was we first started talking, and he put out a movie called The Trade. Called The Trade. And it's kind of a documentary. Right, on his life. About his life. Yeah, we kind of thought because the theme of it is like, what drives you to utilize self-harm, getting the satisfaction out of like putting yourself through glass and like tubes and stuff like that. And like, what is the why do you do that? And I'm like, is it like some kind of deep down thing or childish? Like, what is the thing? That hit real close to me. So I started talking with him about that film and stuff. Anyway, we became friends. So I just hit him up and I was like, yo, you do like, like trailers and stuff like that? Is that kind of what you do? He's a fan of the film. He's like, yeah. For instance, and he sent me a couple examples of different trailers. And I went like, I think you're the guy. So I was like, look, here's the deal. I'm going to be leaving WWE, yada yada. And I gave him my idea. And he's like, totally. And he's like, so then he sends me this like treatment where he's like, you're at prison. And then there's drums building. And it was like a full movie script. And I was like, you're hired. You are the guy. And I was like, so we started collaborating on that or whatever. And we filmed it in February. And I had, the typical 2 days off in between loops. So I landed in Vegas, threw the dogs in the truck, drove out to LA, and we filmed for pretty much 2 days straight. Because it takes, because we rented a Red camera, you know what Red camera is. It's like the highest quality. It's like what they film Lord of the Rings on. Like I spared no expense to this son of a bitch. It's like $8,000 all told, totally worth it. 2 days of just nonstop filming. Because there's a lot of sitting around, setting up shots, you know what I mean? I mean, he had we hired actors, he had like a run sheet. So for the prison, we rented out this like film set in LA where it's like, it's a warehouse. We have a bunch of different sets. You have like a prison, a bar, a courthouse, and all the different rooms for you to film various things. So we did the prison scene, and so it took 2 days. Actually, Vince texted me at like what would have been 4 a.m. his time while I was filming this to try to get me to extend my contract to do the Europe tour.
Wow.
And he's like, hey pal, need a favor. Need you, whatever the biggest box office we would have would be the Shield, last run through Europe, whatever, these dates. And for a half a second I was like, and then I was like, no. I was like, now you want a favor from me, but I'm like, a few months ago that wasn't.
Yeah.
This isn't how you wanted it to go. Now you need a favor. I'm like, dude, and it's not like you're gonna put me on WrestleMania and do some angle that we're gonna follow up on the tour with. Like, no, screw you. Like, you want me to do your brutal post-Mania tour, but
Right.
I was like, yeah, I'm thinking like, call Dave.
And you just paid me $500.
Call Dave, call Triple H, call Brock. You know what I mean? Call somebody else. I ain't Joe Huckleberry this time. So what I told him was, I said, sorry, I'm committed to a film project, which technically wasn't lying, because so I knew he would take it like I was on a movie set, but the film project I was committed to was dropping this exactly midnight. When I'm like, I already committed, I already paid for it. I'm out here running through fields at 4 a.m. Like, I'm done, man. Like, this is happening. That's just a funny aside, but
When you released it though, man, it was a huge success right off the bat.
yeah, that's how I had envisioned that for months, So, and cool thing was, I didn't even tweet it. My social media guru guy tweeted it, so he had it set up to where like
Like on a timer.
Yeah, like agency I was meeting with during Mania Week in New York, you know, just about other entertainment stuff. And I told them the idea and I showed them the video and they're like, oh, let's get our guy in here. So they brought in like their social media expert. And he's like, oh yeah, we can just we'll embed it directly into Twitter, and they do it a certain way where they work specifically with Twitter, where you keep your followers and all. I don't know how that works, but he had it on a timer to where like it was set to go at exactly midnight. It changed over, and the video popped up. When that went up, I was actually on stage at the Cauliflower Alley Club in Vegas, giving out an award to my original trainer, Cody Hawk. So I was on stage giving presenting an award at the moment that tweet went up.
Right.
And then by a half hour later, by the time I got home, because I ran out of there real quick, and then by the time I got home, it was like the exact response I wanted to have, you know?
1 million, 2 million,
So-
3 million. Yeah.
Yeah, let me plug his stuff, just so I don't want to.
Last, as you're looking that up, what did Roman and Seth say when you told them you were going to leave? Because, I mean, I know you guys are fairly close.
Yeah, I mean, they're cool like this. You don't want everybody to be happy kind of thing, you know what I mean? Like,
They get it.
sad to see you go, but like, also like they've been with me, watching me go through all this crap, and they know, you know what I mean? So
They
like,
know how you are, right?
Yeah. So, what I told Seth was like, he's like, man, I'm so bummed out, dude. And I said, dude, this is like the ending of Harry and the Hendersons, where like they released him into the woods and all the other Sasquatches pop up, and now he's back. He's where he needs to be. You know, I'm a wild animal, babe. I've been domesticated too long. He's like, actually, that's a perfect description.
It is a
you know?
perfect for you as well.
Yeah. Anyway, nickmondomedia.com and at nickmondomedia. For anybody, he's a filmmaker, a go-go for anybody who needs any type of filmmaking
He's the one
services.
who made that trailer, which was
Yeah.
blew up the internet.
Yeah, we're actually trying to, right now we're kind of taking that, we're going to take it a step further. We made a 90-second movie. So right now we're in the development stages of we're trying to make our own like feature-length actual action movie where he would direct and I would star. So right, we're in the early stages of putting that together now. So, because now anything can happen.
Right.
You know, like I
You
can
don't have
do
to
anything.
ask permission to go do, you know, a sitcom for 5 minutes or whatever
Yeah,
it
man.
is.
Just the rest of the year, there's some stuff. I don't know when people are going to hear this. There's some stuff that I'll be doing that will, you know, some people will be like, "You're doing that? No way!" That's, you know. But I'll be like, "I can do whatever I want." You know? From now on, everything I do, nothing is about money. With AEW, we didn't even discuss money. We literally didn't. You know, it's just because from day one with them, I was like, "Well, this ain't about money." You know.
Yeah.
We vibe on everything else.
Right.
Nothing I do is like motivated by money. Everything I do, whether it's a show I do, like a wrestling show I do, a match I have, something anything I do, any project I'm involved in, I'm chasing and directed by passion, creativity, artistic satisfaction, and fun. You know? That's what I'm chasing. And I think the rewards, be they monetary or otherwise, will come. It's about, like I said, it's about becoming the best version of myself that I can be, and that might take, and you know, I think you can always grow and always get better and always learn new things. I mean, I'm only 33, you know? I mean, you're what, 48? You know, and you're on your top of your game now. You've totally reinvented yourself.
Right.
I got a lot of future ahead of me, and it could be anything. It could be anything I want it to be, you know?
It's exciting.
Yeah, I ain't the freaking elf in, you know, it's like the elf in, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. He wants to be a dentist, but everybody tells him,
Hermie.
you're an elf. But he's like, I want to be a dentist. You know, so I'm here to tell everybody, man. No matter where you are, who you are, what you come from, if you want to be a dentist and you're an elf, you go be a dentist. You don't let anybody tell you, you know?
That's great. Last question for you. Who are you looking forward to working with in AEW?
Oh, everybody. Literally everybody. And, you know, I'm in a little bit of a different position, more similar to you, where, like, you know, I can help bring eyeballs, you know, because now I'll be on TNT or whatever, and like if somebody's flipped through channels and they go, oh, that's the dude from the Shield. What is this? Who's that? Who's Hangman Page? Oh, he's cool. Oh, what's AEW? AEW is awesome. You ever seen a Young Buck? You know, so like, I'm kind of thinking of it like, however I can help the most, put me in that position, you know. So,
I think.
and I'm so excited.
I
you know,
think
like-
what we're going to be able to help a lot too is we're guys, and there's very few that have the experience of working weekly live television.
Live TV is
Live
a
TV.
big-
Like
dude.
Kenny, I was talking to Kenny about it the other day. He's like, I've never done it before. It's like, it's not hard to learn, but there are some tricks that you need to learn that we know.
Yeah, I mean, the first time, there's just so much when I got to WWE that I thought I knew that I didn't know.
Right.
because about cameras and, you know.
Hard cameras.
Yeah.
And 30 seconds before the break and all this stuff.
Yeah, and it might. You know, the exciting part is there's gonna be a lot of trial by fire. We have no idea what's gonna happen.
No.
You know,
I
who
like
knows?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We're rolling down the river on like a barrel.
Yeah.
You know, just
Going
trying
over the
to stay above the water. Like, it's so exciting. You know.
Yeah, dude. Well, I'm glad I can tell how excited you are. I feel the same way. And here we are, brother. AEW adventure begins.
Dude, I don't know, man. I wish I had a great closing line, man.
Hey,
We're going to war.
You already said if you want to be a dentist and you're an elf, be a dentist. Thanks, dude.
Totally.
Hermie doesn't like to make toys. Do you mind telling me what you do want to do?
Well, sir, someday I'd like to be a dentist.
A
Well,
dentist?
we need one up here. I've been studying. It's fascinating. You've no idea. Molars and bicuspids
Now
and
listen,
incisors.
you're an elf, and elves make toys. Now get to work. 10 minutes break.
Well then. My truck is stopped. It's on its side, you fucking silly thing. Sure, auto saves.
Mm-hmm.